Chapter 329. Finally, the opening day had arrived. This time, at least a few hundred people had entered. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang was astonished. Regardless of these people's motives for entering the dispersed praying mountain, it meant that they could become potential enemies. When he arrived at the entrance, Qin Wushuang sensed two cold gazes staring at him from behind. Without looking back, he knew that these two were Zhu Dazhong and young Master Zhao. Qin Wushuang was not worried. As long as he entered the dispersed praying mountain, it would be like a fish swimming in the vast sea and a bird flying in the vast sky. Even if it was Zhu Dazhong, he would not feel the slightest fear. With the help of the terrain and various methods, Qin Wushuang believed that he would have the confidence to deal with Zhu Dazhong. Currently, he was more curious about why this Zhu Dazhong had come to the dispersed praying mountain. Could it be he was also looking for that spiritual infant fruit? And among this group of hundreds of people, how many had come to search for the spiritual infant fruit? Of course, Qin Wushuang also knew that the spiritual infant fruit was only one of the legendary spiritual medicines in the dispersed praying mountain. Although it was precious, it was not the only one in the dispersed praying mountain. If they did not have special needs, others might not have come to search for this spiritual infant fruit. When the entrance was opened, groups of people kept jumping into the dispersed praying mountain and disappeared in a flash among the continuous thicket of trees. Qin Wushuang was not an exception. Once he entered, he ran towards a hidden place at a fast speed. Previously, he had collected a lot of information related to the dispersed praying mountain. Now, he was not at a loss when he entered the dispersed praying mountain. According to the records, this spiritual infant fruit usually bloomed in remote places where there were no people. This spiritual infant fruit only blossoms and bears fruit every few hundred years. It's extremely difficult to find it. Unless there is a great fortune, or else this trip is extremely difficult. In fact, Qin Wushuang also knew this. However, he was not discouraged. As long as there was a trace of hope, he would not give up. Qin Wushuang planned to search for the few places where the spiritual infant fruit had appeared in history. Although this method was stupid, it was the only way. Or else it would be like searching for a needle in a haystack. Even if he were to travel through the entire dispersed praying mountain, he would not be able to do so in 3 years. After walking for about 3 to 5 days, Qin Wushuang arrived at a valley. According to the information, the spiritual infant fruit had appeared in this valley more than 1,000 years ago. The specific location was in an underground karst cave under the fault in the valley. Qin Wushuang followed the map and headed toward the bottom of the valley. It had been a long time since anyone had come to this area, so the vines were very thick. This gave Qin Wushuang a lot of leverage when he went down. Of course, it also added a lot of trouble for Qin Wushuang to find the karst cave. Although it was troublesome, Qin Wushuang still found the entrance to the karst cave after a while. He did not enter rashly. Instead, he let the white ferret out and instructed it to enter the karst cave to search. After waiting outside the cave for about 15 minutes, the white sable scurried out with a dejected expression. "You didn't find it?" Qin Wushuang was somewhat disappointed. He followed the white sable into the karst cave. The karst cave was not big. 15 minutes was enough for him to see everything. Qin Wushuang did not let go of any plant. However, none of them were similar to the spiritual infant fruit mentioned in the ancient records. After a few rounds of searching, Qin Wushuang walked out of the karst cave with some disappointment. He knew that the first location would not have the spiritual infant fruit. Just as he was about to leave after climbing up the mountain, he suddenly saw two figures rushing over from the bottom of the mountain path. Qin Wushuang was shocked as a strange thought emerged in his head. It's true that enemies are destined to meet. Could these two guys really be looking for the spiritual infant fruit? Zhu Dazhong and that young Master Zhao had come together. Only, that young Master Zhao's strength was much lower, and Zhu Dazhong was obviously trying to adapt to young Master Zhao's pace. This way, their speed was not as fast as Qin Wushuang's. Qin Wushuang hurriedly dodged and hid his body among the trees. After a moment, Zhu Dazhong and that young Master Zhao had arrived at the scene. Young Master Zhao said, "Head Zhu, this is the place, right?" Zhu Dazhong looked for a moment and nodded to confirm. "This is the place." "Then let's go down." Young Master Zhao was impatient. "Hold on." Zhu Dazhong was extremely cunning as he looked around. After a moment, he shook his head and said, "Someone has been here." "Someone has been here?" Young Master Zhao said, "Let it be. There are at least 80,000 adventurers in this dispersed praying mountain. It's not strange for someone to have come here." Zhu Dazhong smiled bitterly. Inwardly, he thought that this young Master Zhao was an embroidered pillow. He did not know how he had reached the middle stage. Did he truly rely on his ancestors' glory? He explained patiently. In the dispersed praying mountain, everyone is competing with each other. They are even enemies. We must not let down our guard at each step. However, young Master Zhao was impatient. "Head Zhu, if we are afraid of tigers in front and wolves behind like you, I am afraid there is no hope for my grandfather's Dantian injury." Zhu Dazhong shook his head helplessly. "Then what should we do, young Master Zhao?" "Let's go down and split into two groups. Even if something were to happen, we can take care of each other." Zhu Dazhong said, "That's not necessary. We don't need to go down ourselves to scout the way." After he had finished speaking, he grabbed a spiritual mouse from his storage bag. It was furry, had a pointy mouth and monkey cheek. Its rolling eyes made it appear extremely cunning. "Go, find the entrance to that karst cave." Under Zhu Dazhong's orders, that spiritual mouse scuttled out with a squeak sound. It scuttled down and in a moment, it had followed the tree vines down into the deep valley. "Haha, Head Zhu, so you have such good stuff." Young Master Zhao laughed. "Head Zhu, last time you said that the Archaic Mysteries sect must compensate me for my hard work. I don't want anything else, but you can prepare a spiritual mouse for me. How about it? I don't need it to be a high level, an advanced stage is enough." Zhu Dazhong almost spat out a mouthful of blood. How many advanced stage spiritual beasts did the Archaic Mysteries sect cultivate? The 5 heads did not even have one. It could be seen how rare advanced stage spiritual beasts were. He smiled bitterly. "Young Master Zhao, advanced stage spiritual beasts are not easy to find. If young Master Zhao really likes, the Archaic Mysteries sect will not hesitate to give you a middle stage spiritual beast." "Middle stage? Head Zhu, aren't you too stingy?" Zhu Dazhong could only explain. "Young Master Zhao, the Archaic Mysteries sect only has 3 advanced stage spiritual beasts. I'm afraid that this number is less than the 9 Palace faction." Young Master Zhao was disappointed. In the 9 Palace faction, only the 3 heads have advanced stage spiritual beasts. The other advanced stage spiritual beasts do not have contracted masters. They only exist as a fighting force for the 9 Palace faction. If I could contract an advanced stage spiritual beast, wouldn't that be awesome? Zhu Dazhong did not dare to answer. This young master who had high standards but low abilities made him speechless. If he had known earlier that things would turn out like this, he, Zhu Dazhong, would have acted alone. At least it would have been better than having to serve this master along the way. Qin Wushuang, who was hiding in the dark, did not release his soul. But since he was so close to them, he still heard the conversation between the two. He was also secretly shocked and joyful, so that old man Zhao Heng's Dantian was indeed injured. It seems that the power of the graceful spiritual bow did not take effect at that time, but it injured him. He was in a hurry to escape, which aggravated the injury in his Dantian. Good. This way, my teacher will be more or less balanced. Calculating like this, Qin Wushuang had already started to consider whether or not he should kill these two here. He was confident that as long as he used the graceful spiritual bow to launch a sneak attack, He would have at least 80 to 90% chance of killing this Zhu Dazhong. Once Zhu Dazhong died, wouldn't this grandson of Zhao Hing be at his mercy? Thinking back to the day when Zhu Dazhong tried to kill him on the cliff at the border of the great Luo Empire, Qin Wushuang was already furious. And this Zhu Dazhong was also an accomplice in harming his teacher. This made Qin Wushuang even more determined to kill him. At this moment, seeing that he was not on guard, he had already started to think about this matter. A sneak attack must succeed on the first try. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to kill him again. Just like assassinating Zhang Baidang, there is only one chance. Qin Wushuang thought to himself. At this moment, a white light flashed in the valley. The spirit mouse suddenly scurried out. Without a doubt, the spirit mouse's expression was also very depressed. Chattered for a while. Qin Wushuang, who understood the language of beasts, naturally understood what it meant. This spirit mouse was telling Zhu Dazhong that there was a karst cave below. But the area of the cave was not big, and there were no spirit fruits, not even a vine. Zhu Dazhong was slightly disappointed and said, "Young Master Zhao, it seems that we have to change to another place." Young Master Zhao said gloomily, "Are there no spiritual infant fruits here?" Young Master Zhao said, "After all, the spiritual infant fruits are not ordinary fruits. They are natural spiritual medicine that grew from the earth. Although this place existed before, it does not mean that it exists now. Anyways, there are many places with spiritual infant fruit. If we go one by one, maybe we will get lucky, right?" This Zhu Dazhong's idea was exactly the same as Qin Wushuang's. They also planned to go one by one. However, Qin Wushuang thought inwardly, "Next place? If I, Qin Wushuang, let you go to the next place, then I would not be a disciple of the Stargaze Palace. Today, I will kill this Zhu Dazhong and collect some interest. As for the grudge between the Nine Palace and the Archaic Mysteries sect, I will settle it slowly in the future." Zhu Dazhong was very cunning. He tossed the spirit mouse aside and gave a few instructions. He actually let the spirit mouse bring up the rear. Hearing his instructions, Qin Wushuang's heart tightened. Inwardly he swore, "Such a cunning old fox. If he let this spirit mouse guard the rear, how can I carry out my sneak attack?" As it turned out, Zhu Dazhong had already sensed that someone had been here before. He was a cautious person and did not wish for their whereabouts to be discovered by other people who were looking for the spiritual infant fruit. Therefore, he had left the spirit mouse behind to guard the rear. Once there was any movement, he would be able to react immediately and come up with a countermeasure. Feeling helpless, Qin Wushuang could only suppress his anger for revenge. He watched Zhu Dazhong and that young Master Zhao walk away. Then, that spirit mouse jumped out from the bushes and rushed forward. Although Qin Wushuang's sneak attack plan had been thwarted, his fighting spirit had increased. Zhu Dazhong is an elite warrior at the advanced stage and the leader of a sect. He is a cunning person. It would be strange if I could easily sneak attack him. Okay, I will fight with him along the way. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 330. Qin Wushuang lifted his feet and left. In a moment, a few figures scuttled out from this mountain valley. These figures were all extremely fast and dressed strangely. Each of them wore a beast skin vest and bare their arms. On their faces, strange patterns were painted on their arms. On their heads, they wore a strange hat with 3 peacock feathers adorned on the back of the hat. The only difference between these people was the shape of the animal skin waistcoats they wore. Did you see it clearly? There are 2 groups. One of the leaders spoke. It's just the beginning and 2 groups have come. Haha, these 2 groups of people seem to have good strength. However, could it be that these guys from the human countries have all gone crazy? Are the spiritual infant fruits something so easy to get? Do they think they deserve it? That leader said with a mocking tone, but it's good this way. It makes our life much more interesting and we will have more fertilizer. Ha ha ha. Children, continue to hide. The group of weirdos roared with laughter, and all of them dove into the bushes, disappearing in a flash. Qin Wushuang went down quickly and was unaware of these changes behind him. After a few days, deep inside the dispersed praying mountain, two unique figures were walking on the road. These two silhouettes were actually two young girls. Their graceful figures and graceful footsteps all showed that these two people were in their prime. Of course, these two were Miss Mu Rong and her maid, Little Bamboo. "Miss, where are we going?" "What? You can't walk?" Miss Mu Rong asked. Little Bamboo shook her head. "That's not it. I was thinking that the deeper we go, the closer we are to the Xian Yuan Mound. What if some acquaintances see us and expose our whereabouts? I am afraid we will have to go back." "How could there be so many acquaintances? Don't forget, our home is far from this dispersed praying mountain. Even if someone knows about us and goes back to report, it would take at least 2 or 3 months. Miss Mu Rong was extremely confident. Hearing the words of her miss, Little Bamboo did not have anything else to say as she nodded. Okay, I can't win against you in an argument. Miss, tell me, where are we going now?" Miss Mu Rong said with a light smile. "Little Bamboo, how many major powerhouses are there in the dispersed praying mountain?" Little Bamboo said, "I'm not too sure about that. Probably 3 or 4 of them." "Then let's visit them one by one." Although Xiao Zhu did not understand, since Miss had decided, she did not say anything else. "All right, Xiao Zhu will accompany Mississippi." According to the information, Qin Wushuang headed towards the second location where the spiritual infant fruit had appeared. Based on his speculation, Zhu Dazhong and that young master Zhao must have gone to that place as well. According to the map, if one wanted to save time and increase efficiency, these two locations were on the same route. If they were to go to other places, they would have to take a long detour. It was definitely not worth it. Therefore, Qin Wushuang followed along the way, but did not deliberately approach. He knew that Zhu Dazhong had that terrifying spirit mouse, which was not easy to deal with. If he didn't respond well, he might turn from the hunter into the hunted. Thus, he slowly followed behind. After 7 or 8 days, Qin Wushuang arrived at a certain place. This place was only 200 or 300 miles away from the second location where the spiritual infant fruit had appeared. Only, Qin Wushuang did not expect that a large number of people had gathered at this place. In an empty field, a dozen groups of people had gathered in 2s and 3s. Qin Wushuang looked from afar and did not see Zhu Dazhong and that young master Zhao. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang was curious. What were these people doing at this place? What he found even more strange was that Zhu Dazhong and young master Zhao had not come here. Could it be that Zhu Dazhong did not play by the rules and would rather give up what was close at hand and seek what was far away to be one step ahead of others? Qin Wushuang's mind was full of questions. When he walked to that field, Qin Wushuang wanted to find someone to ask about the situation. However, he realized that these people all had the same expression, vigilance. It was as if they did not trust anyone as each of their faces was filled with suspicion. Qin Wushuang understood the situation and did not ask. Instead, he pricked up his ears to listen to the discussions around him. After listening for a moment, Qin Wushuang finally understood some things. It turned out that these people were not moving forward because there was something strange about this place. It was rumored that a series of strange things had happened in one of the valleys 200 or 300 miles ahead. All the experts who had passed through that area had disappeared without exception during this period of time. And they had disappeared in a strange way. Indeed, this dispersed praying mountain is full of danger. We've only just arrived. It's this dangerous. Boss, if you ask me, I think we should retreat. How about we take a detour? A guy said in a low voice. However, that guy next to him shook his head unwillingly. I am not willing to give up after coming here. Boss, of all things, our lives are the most important. Okay, third, don't try to persuade him. We don't blame you if you want to go back. Second, what do you think? Boss, I will listen to you. These three people discussed in a low voice on the side. Qin Wushuang was not in the mood to listen anymore. He said with a smile, "Everyone, I wonder where this news came from?" Although he spoke suddenly, the others did not pay attention to him. Instead, they looked at him with wide eyes. Apparently, they did not trust this person who had appeared out of nowhere. Qin Wushuang said, "It's true that this dispersed praying mountain is full of danger. However, I want to ask, do any of you know anyone who went missing?" And no, there really isn't. Qin Wushuang said with a smile. Since everyone is full of doubts and is lingering here, we should either leave or continue to move forward. It's not a solution to stay here. When these people saw Qin Wushuang speaking with assurance, someone could not help but ask, "What you said is good, why don't you go and try first?" Qin Wushuang said with a smile, "I will go, I am just afraid that you guys would not dare to go with me." Qin Wushuang knew that most of the people who had appeared in this area had come for the spiritual infant fruit. These people were all potential enemies. However, if he used them well, he could cooperate with them temporarily. When those people heard Qin Wushuang saying that he would be the first one to eat crabs, naturally, their courage increased greatly. All of them stood up and declared, "As long as you dare to go first, we will dare to follow you." Qin Wushuang said with a smile, "It's up to you guys whether to go or not, I am going." After Qin Wushuang had finished speaking, he rushed forward with quick step. When these people saw Qin Wushuang's decisiveness, they were all astonished. They looked at Qin Wushuang's departing figure and felt somewhat conflicted. "Brother, are we going or not? Let's go. If he dares to go alone, how could the two of us not dare to go?" This was a conversation between two of his friends. The others were influenced by Qin Wushuang's attitude as they all said, "Let's go. We are all elite human warriors. Could it be that he has 3 heads and 6 arms? If he dares to go, wouldn't we become a joke if we don't go?" This way, those people who had initially wanted to retreat could not help but feel their blood boil as they all followed. Qin Wushuang did not stop along the way as he thought. Most likely, some people are playing tricks. I don't believe that there would be so many dangers before we have even reached the center of the dispersed praying mountain. Although he was trying to boost his courage, Qin Wushuang did not dare to neglect. The closer he got, the more cautious he became. After walking for about 2 hours, they climbed up a high slope. Looking down, they saw a winding and spiraling valley, spiraling downwards continuously. It was as if the heavens and earth had drilled out such a spiral valley here. It was a spectacular sight. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang was astonished. Indeed, this dispersed praying mountain is rich. It has such a great place. No wonder this place is called the Spiral Valley, so this is the terrain. Deep inside the Spiral Valley, 2 figures were hiding in the dark. They looked over like hawks. Indeed, they were young Master Zhao and that Zhu Dazhong. That young Master Zhao swore, "Darn it, this group of bastards, are they not afraid of death? Head Zhu, the rumors we spread did not seem to work." However, Zhu Dazhong said, "There will always be people who are not afraid of death. It's impossible to stop everyone from coming. Young Master Zhao, when this person comes down, I will launch a surprise attack on him. You hide here and do not make a sound. If we can kill 1 or 2 elite warriors and lay their bodies here, it will serve as a deterrent. Our rumors will also become more powerful." Young Master Zhao nodded. "Okay, then I will wait to admire Head Zhu's marvelous skills." Zhu Dazhong observed with rapt attention. Suddenly, his expression changed as he swore, "Darn it! What's wrong?" Young Master Zhao raised his head and looked over, only to see batches of people rushing over from the top of the hill. Young Master Zhao secretly complained, "What the hell, why did this group of people change their minds again?" Zhu Dazhong said hatefully, Someone must have instigated this, otherwise this group of people would not have come in such an orderly manner. As he spoke, Zhu Dazhong's eyes suddenly widened. Young Master Zhao, look at that person, don't you think he looks familiar? Young Master Zhao looked. It's him again! Zhu Dazhong said fiercely. Why is this guy haunting me? Everywhere I go, there is his shadow? Young Master Zhao looked around and said, this time, the two girls are not with him. Zhu Dazhong smiled bitterly. Young Master Zhao, you are not thinking of provoking him again, are you? Zhu Dazhong had suffered a great loss in front of the restaurant last time, and he had a deep impression of it. He really did not want to provoke trouble. That girl's aura made Zhu Dazhong feel a lingering fear when he thought about it later. Young Master Zhao said hatefully. This kid caused me to be humiliated. If I don't teach him a lesson, I will not be at peace. Master Zhu, if it wasn't for that girl, would this kid be a threat? Zhu Dazhong rolled his eyes and suddenly smiled. Got it, our plan did not work, let's think of another plan. Young Master Zhao hurriedly asked, what plan? Killing with a borrowed knife. Zhu Dazhong laughed and whispered a few words into young Master Zhao's ear. Young Master Zhao nodded his head. Master Zhu, good plan. Zhu Dazhong laughed. Then let's go out and meet with them. Remember, when we meet with that kid, do not leave any traces behind. Act as if we did not hold any grudges, and do not reveal any flaws. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 331. Zhu Dazhong and young Master Zhao both jumped out and stood somewhere in Spiral Valley, hesitating to move forward. The people standing on top of the hill obviously saw the two of them. Someone immediately shouted, Look, there are people down there. They are still alive. Qin Wushuang saw the two of them from afar. His heart sank. Why are these two here? Could it be that the tricks from before were just their tricks? He turned around and asked, Everyone, were those two the ones who told you the rumor? I don't think so. No. Qin Wushuang did not find it strange. If Zhu Dazhong was the one who spread the rumor, he would definitely find a way to use others to spread the rumor. This kind of trick was not very clever. Since there were living people down there, these people were not so afraid and ran down the valley. Although Qin Wushuang was suspicious of Zhu Dazhong and young Master Zhao, he was not afraid and followed them down. When they reached the bottom, Zhu Dazhong saw Qin Wushuang and actually took the initiative to smile. He did not look like he wanted to cause trouble, but said, Sir, I trust you have been well since we last met. Where are the two ladies? Qin Wushuang smiled faintly. Could it be that your companions are still thinking about the two ladies? When young Master Zhao heard Qin Wushuang's mocking words, although he was angry inwardly, he pretended to speak with a depressed tone. Mister, I was wrong earlier. However, today there is no need for us to hold on to that old grudge, right? You are here for the spiritual infant fruit. Why don't we all work together? Work together? Qin Wushuang seemed to have heard the funniest joke. Everyone wants the spiritual infant fruits. How can we work together? Rumor has it that Spiral Valley is full of danger and that many strong cultivators have gone missing here. The two of us did not believe this and came to investigate. However, we did not see any danger. It seems that everyone was fooled by the rumor. These words immediately relaxed everyone's heartstrings. It would be great if there was no killing intent. Qin Wushuang remained calm and collected. He knew Zhu Dazhong's character too well. It was best to take his words in the opposite direction. If he said that there was no danger, then perhaps the danger was around. To the people in front of him, Zhu Dazhong's advanced spirit cultivation was the biggest potential threat. However, Qin Wushuang naturally wouldn't expose him. Zhu Dazhong said, however, the range of our exploration is limited. There is no danger for the time being, but that doesn't mean there will always be no danger ahead. Everyone, this old man has a suggestion. I wonder if everyone is interested in hearing it? What suggestion? Yes, if there's a constructive suggestion, of course everyone is willing to listen. Zhu Dazhong smiled and said, let's be frank. Does everyone here have the same thoughts as this old man? Are you all here for the spiritual infant fruits? Hee, since you've already said so, there's no point in denying it. That's right, at least the two of us are here for the spiritual infant fruit. That's right, so are we. Zhu Dazhong shifted his gaze to Qin Wushuang, obviously wanting to hear his opinion. Qin Wushuang smiled faintly and said, I'm not. Zhu Dazhong obviously didn't believe him, but he didn't expose him. He smiled and said, whether or not you are, everyone wants to pass through this spiral valley. It can't be wrong, right? Didn't this spiral valley produce the spiritual infant fruits before? If we don't look for it, why would we pass through Spiral Valley? Yes, sir. Don't tell me you want to trick us into leaving so that you can take the spiritual infant fruits for yourself? When someone said this, the others looked at Zhu Dazhong suspiciously. Their faces were filled with caution and vigilance. Obviously, they would rather believe it to be true than not. Although Zhu Dazhong made it sound nice, as the saying goes, you may know a person's face but not his heart. It was basically impossible for adventurers to trust each other. However, Zhu Dazhong didn't mind. He laughed and said, I know what everyone is thinking. It doesn't matter if you don't trust me. It's easy to work with so many people. Let's go search. If there are spiritual infant fruits, it'll be even easier. To be honest, I also hope that there are some here. Qin Wushuang suddenly said, if there were, you would have already taken them. You asked everyone to search so that you could leave in the chaos. Wouldn't everyone still be fooled? Zhu Dazhong sighed and said, Sir, your imagination is really rich. Then I won't leave and will search with you. To be honest, the two of us have only been here for less than a day. Do you think it's so coincidental that we'll see a ripe spiritual infant fruit here, waiting for us to pick it? And after picking it, we'll just wait here like idiots for you to come? He really did get the effect of his opposite words. When the adventurers heard what he said, they all felt that it made sense. What was the spiritual infant fruit? It was something that bloomed and bore fruit every few hundred years. If they came across it the moment they arrived, how low would the probability be? If the two of them really had the spiritual infant fruit, they could have just continued to move forward and wait for the storm to pass before turning back. Why would they stay here and wait? Qin Wushuang's words just now were just to make Zhu Dazhong a target so that the other adventurers would be hostile towards him. This way, he would be able to take advantage of the situation. Who knew that Zhu Dazhong was so sly and cunning that he easily neutralized Qin Wushuang's attack. At this time, there were a total of 22 adventurers, including Qin Wushuang. These people started to conduct a carpet search of Spiral Valley. The result was obvious. As expected, there were no traces of the spiritual infant fruit. Everyone knew in their hearts that this place had fallen through once again. They left Spiral Valley together. These people obviously did not want to stay together and went their separate ways. Everyone hoped that they could reach the third location where the spiritual infant fruit had appeared as soon as possible. In fact, Qin Wushuang also did not want to travel with these people. This time, he decided to speed up and travel with all his strength. Despite this, Qin Wushuang still did not use the Wind Walk talisman and only relied on his feet. Along the way, Qin Wushuang tried his best to avoid all disturbances. Although he did encounter some wild spiritual beasts that tried to disturb him, Qin Wushuang did not engage them. He moved forward quickly to avoid trouble. After another 10 days, they arrived at the third location. This place was called the Monkey King Mountain. This Monkey King Mountain was an extremely mysterious area in the dispersed Praying Mountain range. Among all the places where the spiritual infant fruit had appeared, it was the place where it was most likely to appear. It was because the Monkey King Mountain had another name. It was called the 100 Fruits Mountain. This place was rich with spiritual qi and rare fruits grew all over the mountain. It was extremely easy for those spiritual fruits to appear that could help with training. Only, this Monkey King Mountain was not an ownerless place. It was called the Monkey King Mountain. Inside this mountain, there were all kinds of monkeys that were extremely difficult to deal with. As he approached the Monkey King Mountain, Qin Wushuang took each step carefully. He knew that all kinds of spiritual monkeys occupied this Monkey King Mountain. They were all powerful spiritual warriors of the monkey clan. There were even some at the perfect stage of the spiritual martial force. When facing such a place, Qin Wushuang did not have the capital to let his guard down. This time, Qin Wushuang was much smarter as he was not in a rush to show himself. He considered Zhu Dazhong as a dangerous factor, and was not in a rush to show himself. He must be on guard against Zhu Dazhong's schemes. That Zhu Dazhong was not a broad-minded person. On that day at the Spiral Valley, his performance had made Qin Wushuang feel deeply suspicious. Only, he could not grasp his motive. However, since he knew Zhu Dazhong's personality, of course, he would not let his guard down. What Qin Wushuang did not expect was that around the Monkey King Mountain, there were no less than 200 elite warriors. They were either in the open or in the dark, entrenched around the Monkey King Mountain. "Brother, let's go, follow me." "Brother, where are we going?" "To the West Mountain Flying Waterfall. I heard the spiritual infant fruits have appeared there." "No way? Spiritual infant fruits?" "The legendary spiritual fruit. Spiritual infant fruits have appeared at the West Mountain Flying Waterfall. Let's go take a look." "Darn it, there are spiritual infant fruits? Let's go." Qin Wushuang secretly paid attention and found that this news was spreading everywhere, and everyone had rushed towards that direction without prior consultation. Apparently, many of the adventurers had not come for the spiritual infant fruit. However, they were all fascinated when they heard about the spiritual infant fruit. Everyone knew that this thing could repair the Dantian and increase the level of the Dantian. Increasing the level of the Dantian meant changing the Dantian and increasing one's training potential. If a person's training potential could reach the advanced stage, then it would not be a problem for them to enter the perfect stage after consuming the spiritual infant fruits. Although Qin Wushuang had mixed feelings, he would not miss out on this opportunity. Regardless of whether there were any fruits, it would not be a problem to take a look. What if there were spiritual infant fruits? If he missed it, wouldn't he regret it for eternity? When Qin Wushuang thought here, he also rushed towards the direction of the West Mountain Flying Waterfall. This West Mountain Flying Waterfall was located at the west mountain of the Monkey King Mountain. The terrain was steep and there was a 30,000-meter waterfall falling from the sky. The waterfall was majestic and there were endless rugged mountain paths on both sides. To climb up the West Mountain, one would need to have the climbing ability of a monkey. When Qin Wushuang arrived at the West Mountain, he saw a group of people gathered there from afar. These people stood a few hundred meters away from the flying waterfall and looked towards the waterfall with rapt attention. "Boss, is the rumor about the spiritual infant fruits true or false?" "How would I know? Regardless of whether it's true or not, we are already here. Should we rush in?" Initially, this waterfall was like a curtain. Behind this waterfall, there was an extremely deep and serene cave. To enter this cave, one must pass the test of this flying waterfall. Just as everyone was in doubt, a torrent flew out from the waterfall, and a figure emerged from it. It was young Master Zhao, and he said in exasperation, "The spiritual infant fruit has been taken by someone." Among the adventurers, there was someone who saw young Master Zhao in the Spiral Valley. He immediately asked anxiously, "Who took it?" Young Master Zhao said, "That kid is young. He is wearing a green robe and has a square face. That day in the Spiral Valley, he was the leader. Many of you have seen him." Young Master Zhao described everything in detail. Indeed, he was describing Qin Wushuang's appearance. Qin Wushuang used his divine sense to listen carefully. He was secretly shocked. As expected, this Zhu Dazhong did not have good intentions. He was obviously trying to frame Qin Wushuang and kill with a borrowed knife. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 332. As the saying goes, a man's wealth is his own ruin. Adventurers did not have any grudges against each other, so they would not kill each other. However, once someone obtained something that everyone coveted, they would most likely be hunted down endlessly. Zhu Dazhong's sudden move attracted everyone's attention. In this way, it could be said to be killing two birds with one stone. First, he could take revenge for what happened at the restaurant that day. Second, he could send everyone away and calmly search for the spiritual infant fruits in the Monkey King Mountain. Qin Wushuang naturally understood Zhu Dazhong's evil plan. He almost wanted to step out and reprimand young Master Zhao, but just as he stepped out, he retracted his foot. Human greed and human desire could not be reasoned with. Once young Master Zhao said so, these people would be prejudiced. No matter how he tried to explain, it would be difficult to escape suspicion. What would follow would be endless trouble. After stepping back, Qin Wushuang's mind spun quickly and an idea came to him. He thought fiercely, since Zhu Dazhong wants to play dirty with me, I'll play along with him. You can find someone to describe me to the heavens. Even if you draw a picture of me, so what? But you don't know that my face is just a mask? Thinking up to this point, Qin Wushuang simply took off his mask and replaced it with another one. Then, he changed into a set of hemp clothes from his storage bag. In this way, his image immediately changed into a rough middle-aged man, and there was a deep scar on his face. This appearance was worlds apart from his previous gentle and refined appearance. Even if Zhu Dazhong were to recognize him, he would not be able to recognize him. Just when he was about to step out, suddenly a zhi-zhi sound came from under his feet. Qin Wushuang was surprised as he did not know what it was. When he lowered his head to look, it was a monkey with golden fur all over its body. It was pulling the bottom of his pants, and its two front paws lifted his face. With one press, it had copied Qin Wushuang's action of changing his mask. Qin Wushuang was shocked and squatted down. Wu gu la, ha chun bowa, chun si yuen air. This greeting made that golden ape stunned. He waved his claws with extreme joy and started to talk with Qin Wushuang. For a moment, the man and the beast were conversing in the beast language. The more the ape talked, the more excited it became. It jumped onto Qin Wushuang's shoulder and chatted happily with Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang knew that there were many monkeys on this Monkey King Mountain. He didn't have much hope of encountering a monkey. Everyone patiently conversed with the monkey. As such, the beast language that Qin Wushuang had painstakingly learned came in handy. As he chatted with the golden ape, he ran in the opposite direction of the West Mountain waterfall. Since he knew that this was Zhu Dazhong's scheme, Qin Wushuang was much calmer. There was an 80 to 90% chance that the rumors about the spiritual infant fruit were fake. As expected, the golden ape asked, "Human, did you come to the West Mountain waterfall to look for the spiritual infant fruit?" Qin Wushuang sighed. "Yes, but those two are too despicable. They framed me to distract everyone." The golden ape scratched its ears and cheeks, overjoyed. "There's no spiritual infant fruit in that waterfall. What a bunch of idiot! If the spiritual infant fruit is so easy to find, can it still be called the spiritual infant fruit?" Qin Wushuang was shocked. "Brother ape, could it be that you know about it?" The golden ape said, "Of course I know. However, it's impossible for you humans to get the spiritual infant fruit, unless you can defeat the Monkey King Mountain's king." Hearing his words, half of Qin Wushuang's heart turned cold. The Monkey King Mountain's king. Since he dared to call himself king, he couldn't be weaker than Qin Wushuang. To put it bluntly, even if Zhu Dazhong personally came, he might not be able to withstand a single blow from the Monkey King Mountain's king. Brother Ape, just how powerful is your Monkey King Mountain's king? Haha, perhaps he's a little bit more powerful than the strongest warrior in your human countries. The Golden Ape said, anyways, there are 3 major powerhouses in the dispersed Praying Mountain. The king of the Monkey King Mountain is one of them. Human, if you are here to find the spiritual infant fruit, I advise you to go back. Qin Wushuang shook his head and said, it's not a big deal if I go back. Only, my teacher's life depends on this spiritual infant fruit. If I cannot take it back, my teacher's dantian would be destroyed or he would die. As his disciple, if I can't take back the spiritual infant fruit, how could I face my teacher? That Golden Ape said, so you are not going to take it for yourself. Most of the adventurers who come here to find miraculous medicine will take it for themselves. I don't need to take it for myself. That Golden Ape said with a mischievous smile, okay, spiritual infant fruit. Do you need me to think of a way? Qin Wushuang was overjoyed. Brother Ape, if you have a way, I will be very grateful. I don't want to be grateful, I want something new. If you teach me something fun, I promise to help you think of a way. This monkey was actually so playful. He actually gave such an absurd condition when he opened his mouth. This had put Qin Wushuang in a difficult situation. Something fun? He really didn't know much about this game. Even if he did, it would be human logic. Yet, he did not know what this monkey liked to play. After thinking for a while, Qin Wushuang still did not have a clue. When that Golden Ape saw him scratching his ears and cheeks, he seemed to enjoy it as he cried out, okay, take your time to think. Tell me when you think of something. After he had finished speaking, he twisted his body and drilled into the ground. Qin Wushuang immediately said, hold on, Brother Ape. Qin Wushuang knew that this Golden Ape was his last card. If he did not play this card well, most likely, he would lose the chance to get the spiritual infant fruit. From the tone of this ape, this Monkey King Mountain did have the spiritual infant fruit. Only it was not easy to get them. Suddenly, a little head popped up from the ground in front of him. That Golden Ape said with a smile, don't call me Brother Ape, my name is Bao Bao. Human, what is your name? My name is Wushuang. Qin Wushuang communicated with the beast language. Wushuang, haha, this is an interesting name. Okay, it's rare to see a human who is proficient in the beast language. And you look interesting. Let me tell you, the spiritual infant fruits are on the Phoenix Cliff at the main peak of the Monkey King Mountain. However, I advise you not to go. It's because it will be very dangerous for you to go there. Qin Wushuang had an idea. Indeed, this Monkey King Mountain did have the spiritual infant fruits. Afraid that this ape would leave again, Qin Wushuang immediately used a topic to keep him. Bao Bao, how come you have this name? Bao Bao chuckled. Because as soon as I make a move, there are 2 big bumps on my head. In our clan, in the entire Monkey King Mountain, there are no monkeys with bumps on their heads. Thus, I got this name. Qin Wushuang sighed inwardly. Inwardly, this monkey clan did not even pay attention to naming. Just when he was about to ask a few more questions, Bao Bao's ears suddenly twitched. His expression suddenly changed as he said with a hurried tone, Human, I don't want to talk to you anymore, something big seems to have happened in the clan. What happened? I don't know, I sensed the call of the clan. Human, I am leaving. After Bao Bao had finished speaking, he twisted his body and disappeared from the ground. When Qin Wushuang saw Bao Bao leaving quickly, he knew that this time, Bao Bao would not come back. Inwardly, he could not help but feel somewhat lost. At this moment, from the forest behind him, groups of human elite warriors flew out from the West Mountain flying waterfall. Darn it, without a sound, that guy took away the spiritual infant fruits. Darn it. Isn't that right? That kid is spreading lies to deceive people. From the beginning, I felt that he was not a good person. Go after him, Don't let him run too far away. Then, we won't be able to catch him. One group after another, at least hundreds of people kept running towards the outside. Qin Wushuang dodged to the side and did not make a sound. When these people ran past him, they only glanced at his face and left in a hurry. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. Inwardly, he thought that these people were so blind that they were confused by a few lies. It was a miracle that such adventurers could survive until now. Fortunately, Qin Wushuang was wearing a different mask. His appearance was completely different. Naturally, there was no need to worry. Although this Zhu Dazhong's plan was vicious, it did not pose any real threat to Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang hid himself well. He knew that since Zhu Dazhong wanted to frame him, he would definitely come out. Now that he could not go up the Phoenix Cliff, he would play with Zhu Dazhong first. Qin Wushuang was determined to kill Zhu Dazhong and young Master Zhao this time, no matter what. This was to prevent the two of them from being unable to accomplish anything. Letting Zhu Dazhong live would always be a disaster. After a while, two figures jumped out from afar. Young Master Zhao smiled and said, "Sect Leader Zhu, this move of yours is really brilliant. Now, the Monkey King Mountain area is much quieter. The pressure on us seems to have lessened by quite a bit." Zhu Dazhong laughed coldly and said, "This Monkey King Mountain is the place where the spiritual infant fruits are most likely to appear. According to my analysis, the place where the spiritual infant fruits are most likely to appear is not the West Mountain Flying Waterfall, but the Monkey Clan's sacred Phoenix Cliff. How to get up the Phoenix Cliff is the key. Same as before, we still need your spirit mouse to do it. It is a high-level spirit beast and is also very smart. In the territory of the Monkey Clan, it is much more convenient for a spirit beast than for us humans." Zhu Dazhong nodded his head and said, "That is exactly what I was thinking." He took out the spirit mouse and gave it some instructions before letting it out. Qin Wushuang's heart was as calm as still water. He had already made up his mind. This was the moment to make his move. At this moment, the distance between him and Zhu Dazhong was only 300 feet. With the power and speed of the graceful spiritual bow, this distance of 300 feet was negligible. Unless Zhu Dazhong sensed it beforehand, once he drew the bow, even if he had any special defense, he would not have time to use it. With a light push of his hand, he sent the white ferret out. The white ferret jumped into the bushes, making a rustling sound as it jumped into the forest. Zhu Dazhong quickly turned his head to look. When he turned his head, what he saw was a white ferret. The wariness in his heart immediately disappeared. But it was this moment of numbness that caused his back to turn towards Qin Wushuang. Everything was within Qin Wushuang's calculations. The graceful spiritual bow was knocked and his aura surged. His sword was like a shooting star. Xiao. It broke through the air. End of 4th update. Continues tomorrow. Today's scheduled update is a preview chapter, not the main text. The main text will continue tomorrow. To be continued, if you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 333. This arrow was not the strongest arrow. Qin Wushuang had used the graceful spiritual bow, but it was the most sudden arrow. Before this, no matter if it was the duel with Devil Boy, or dealing with Zhao Heng, or killing Zhang Baidang, the arrow was shot when the opponent was aware of the situation. But this battle was completely different. In this moment, Zhu Dazhong did not realize that there was such a great danger behind him. For this arrow, Qin Wushuang used his power very cleverly. At first, it was silent, but when this arrow shot through the air, it immediately spread out. Its aura seemed to have suddenly increased, and a wild feeling of devouring the heaven and earth filled the air. Zhu Dazhong's pupils dilated, and he instantly realized the danger. There was a devouring power behind him, as if it was going to devour the entire space. It was so terrifying. Zhu Dazhong only had one thought, and that was to rush forward, rush out of the devouring space, and run for his life. The heaven and earth trembled, and a beam of light flashed. The dark green arrow instantly arrived. Zhu Dazhong roared, and suddenly felt a cold, murderous aura behind him. At this moment, the heaven-defying defense of his entire body was suddenly activated. Whoosh! The green light collided with the yellow light emitted by the protective talisman that Zhu Dazhong had activated, and bounced back heavily. The two rays of light collided, and with a bang emitted a huge halo of light, which suddenly spread out in all directions. Crash! Young Master Zhao, who was beside Zhu Dazhong, did not understand what was going on, and was pushed by this desperate power. His entire body suddenly flew up, and fiercely smashed out. Zhu Dazhong secretly exclaimed that he was lucky. His body rushed forward, and he was about to drill into the ground. However, when Qin Wushuang dealt with him, he had shot 3 arrows in succession. His protective light could only block the first arrow, but how could it block the second arrow and the third arrow? The last 2 arrows, with the first arrow opening the way, were almost completely unrestrained. Carrying all of Qin Wushuang's vengeful anger, it instantly ignited this part of the heaven and earth. 2-pronged attack, 2 arrows were shot simultaneously. One on the left, one on the right, and Zhu Dazhong was completely trapped. Within Qin Wushuang's sight, everything was drawn into this murderous aura. There was absolutely no chance of luck, and there was no possibility of Zhu Dazhong escaping. 3 arrows. The graceful spiritual bow only had 3 arrows, but no one had ever been able to block these 3 arrows consecutively. Zhu Dazhong's body was only halfway through before he was hit by a second arrow that was as fast as a shooting star. The protective yellow light around his body was activated again, trying to offset the deterrent force of the arrow. However, after the first arrow was exhausted, the power of the second and third arrow was not something that the protective light could withstand. The green arrow arrived with a loud bang, and a powerful force suddenly invaded Zhu Dazhong's body. It was as if Zhu Dazhong's body was suddenly fixed by some kind of magic, and he could no longer drill down. Then, he felt as if his back had been pierced by something, and his chest caved in. Bang! A huge crater appeared on the ground. Zhu Dazhong's body lay in the pit in despair, unable to summon any strength to resist. There were still some remnants of consciousness in his mind, but he also knew that this time, he was really done for. With a leap, Qin Wushuang arrived in front of Zhu Dazhong. Zhu Dazhong's face was ashen as he looked at Qin Wushuang in shock. That's right, it's me. You don't recognize me, but you recognize this bow and arrow, right? Zhu Dazhong was in despair. Unexpected, unexpected. There are even more unexpected things. With an evil grin, Qin Wushuang pointed at Zhu Dazhong's body to lock his life force. Using both methods, he pressed on Zhu Dazhong's dantian and initiated the power of Deep North quickly. To Zhu Dazhong, Qin Wushuang would not hold back. Zhu Dazhong was an elite warrior at the advanced stage and possessed extremely pure spiritual qi. Of course, Qin Wushuang would not let him go. Although Zhu Dazhong was injured, before the spiritual qi in his dantian could disperse, Qin Wushuang sucked it in. Zhu Dazhong's eyeballs almost popped out of their socket. What kind of sorcery is this? This is your punishment. Zhu Dazhong, on that day when you wanted to kill me on that cliff, did you ever think that retribution would come this fast? Initially, when you colluded with the Nine Palace and came to the Stargaze Palace, you were so proud. Did you ever think that retribution would come this fast? Of course, your Archaic and the Nine Palace will receive more retribution. Unfortunately, you will not live to see it. Qin Wushuang's tone was filled with resentment. He increased his absorption speed and in a moment, he had completely sucked in the dantian of Zhu Dazhong, an elite warrior at the advanced stage. Although Zhu Dazhong's breathing was weak, his expression was ferocious. He was filled with resentment, hatred, despair, and unwillingness. Qin Wushuang was extremely happy. The more desperate his enemy was, the more he felt the pleasure of revenge. After he had finished absorbing, Qin Wushuang only felt his dantian bulging. The spiritual qi had filled his dantian to the brim. Qin Wushuang did not dare to neglect it, as he knew that today he should not use too much spiritual qi. He spat out the power of his palm and sent Zhu Dazhong to the western paradise. He took back the 3 jade green arrows and took Zhu Dazhong's head. Then, he rubbed one of the rings on Zhu Dazhong's hand. Then, he pushed with both hands, and the mud from all around rushed into this giant hole and buried Zhu Dazhong tightly. Qin Wushuang turned around and locked onto the position of that young Master Zhao. A moment ago, that guy had fainted without any resistance after being hit by 2 powerful waves of power. When Qin Wushuang walked closer, this young Master Zhao was still unconscious. Qin Wushuang did not hold back and sealed all the vital points of this young Master Zhao. Then, he threw him into the storage pouch. After he had done these things, Qin Wushuang did not linger and quickly left the Monkey King Mountain. Since he knew that something major had happened at this Monkey King Mountain, of course, he would not stay in this troublesome place. He decided to find a quiet place to train for a few days and then come out. Qin Wushuang left the Monkey King Mountain at a fast speed. He found a secluded place and started to train in isolation. In the dispersed praying mountain, between the adventurers, if there was no conflict of interest, they would never attack each other senselessly. However, Qin Wushuang was still not reassured. He let out the white sable and let it patrol the area. Absorbing Zhu Dazhong's spiritual qi was different than absorbing Devil Boy and Zhang Baidang. This was the spiritual qi of an advanced stage warrior. Although he could not use it 100%, he could use 50 to 60%. Indeed, it was difficult to digest the spiritual qi of an advanced stage warrior. It was much more difficult than the spiritual qi of Devil Boy's mutated spiritual root. This training took Qin Wushuang 10 days to completely digest all of Zhu Dazhong's spiritual qi. This time, Qin Wushuang happily discovered that after he had absorbed Zhu Dazhong's spiritual qi, the spiritual qi inside his body had a surging feeling. This scene was extremely familiar. Initially at the Pusan Mountain, after he had fought with that battle spiritual wolf, Qin Wushuang had also felt this surging feeling. Although the current surging feeling was not as strong as the previous time, Qin Wushuang knew that this was the sign of a breakthrough. About to break through? Inwardly, Qin Wushuang was overjoyed as he silently felt this surging feeling. After a while, Qin Wushuang was finally certain that this feeling was not fake and was not an illusion. Initially, he had experienced this feeling. Compared to this moment, it was so clear and familiar. This feeling came from the same origin. Indeed, the spiritual qi of an advanced stage warrior is extraordinary. Although I only used 50 to 60% of it, Devil Boy's spiritual qi, plus the other spiritual qi I absorbed, had all been replenished. It was the accumulation of the breakthrough. Could it be, I am truly going to break into the advanced stage at this dispersed praying mountain? This time, Qin Wushuang's mood was completely different from the sign of a breakthrough. He had been looking forward to this breakthrough for a long time and had even dreamt of it. Because of the Stargaze Palace's situation and the danger of being surrounded by enemies, he could not help but feel a sense of urgency. Only by breaking through would he have the hope to resolve those continuous crises. Only those at the advanced stage were qualified to activate the second loop of the 7 deadly formation arrays, enter the third loop and break the seal of the purple flame electric beast. All of this was calling Qin Wushuang and urging him to work harder. And now, he had truly felt the feeling of a breakthrough. With this feeling, he firmly believed that the breakthrough would not be too far away. From the initial stage to the middle stage, it seemed that I only used half a year. And that breakthrough at the Green Jade Mountain was in the first month of last year. Only a year and a half had passed since then. My training speed is almost 10 times faster than others. It seems that the spiritual baptism of the 7 deadly formation arrays has helped me greatly. When he thought here, Qin Wushuang's confidence had increased greatly. Thinking about it, he had a lot of trump cards. Besides the graceful spiritual bow, he had the entire 7 deadly formation arrays as his trump card. And for the purple flame electric beast, as soon as he entered the advanced stage, he could break the seal and become his most loyal contract beast. This was another great trump card. With the graceful spiritual bow and the purple flame electric beast, Qin Wushuang believed that even if the perfect stage leader of the 9 Palace faction were to come, he would have the confidence to deal with him. Qin Wushuang took out Zhu Dazhong's ring. He knew that this was Zhu Dazhong's storage ring. He weighed it in his hand and knew that there should be some things inside. Initially, Zhu Dazhong had added the opening spell to this ring. Without these spells it could not be opened. However, since Zhu Dazhong was dead, the spell that was compatible with him had disappeared. Thus, Qin Wushuang had opened this space easily. As soon as he opened the space, Qin Wushuang saw a spiritual mouse. Since Qin Wushuang had prepared himself mentally, of course, he would not let it come out. He shot a wave of coagulated sword at it. Within the small space of the space ring, of course, that spiritual mouse had no room to resist. It could only run away and beg for mercy with squeaking sounds. Qin Wushuang communicated with the beast language. "Cooperate with me and I will not hurt you." This spiritual mouse was an advanced stage scout beast and did not have strong combat power. Even if it came out to fight with Qin Wushuang, for sure, it would not win against Qin Wushuang's graceful spiritual bow. At the moment, it felt extremely depressed and surrendered. However, Qin Wushuang was not reassured by this spiritual mouse. He knew that this spiritual mouse was the most cunning. Immediately, he poked it twice and restrained it. Then, he threw it to the side of the ring. Then, he counted the other things. No wonder Zhu Dazhong was an advanced stage warrior. Indeed, there were a lot of things inside the ring. Qin Wushuang checked a few times and exclaimed in admiration of the bountiful harvest. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 334. Each of the 3 ancient talismans had a special symbol. One of them was the cloud and water talisman that Qin Wushuang had seen before. He did not expect Zhu Dazhong to also have one. There were 2 more. One was shining with golden light. Qin Wushuang guessed that it should be the golden protective talisman. The other one was a strange talisman that emitted blue light. Although Qin Wushuang did not know the truth, he knew that it was not an ordinary talisman. These 3 talismans should be very powerful. There were 5 pills in the bottle. Qin Wushuang smelled it and knew that it was the 9 reversal yang pill. Qin Wushuang was overjoyed. His teacher Tan Zhongqi had given him 3 of these pills. He had given one to Shang Yi and one to his teacher when he was injured. There was only one left. Zhu Dazhong actually had 5 of them. Wouldn't that mean he had 6 of them? Qin Wushuang naturally would not miss out on something like this. He put the 6 reversal yang pills together. Only then did he check the other items. Next was an offensive weapon. It was a chain spear of the advanced level. Qin Wushuang had seen Zhu Dazhong's weapon before. Naturally, he did not hold back and took it for himself. Although he did not like this weapon, it was not a bad idea to keep it. There would be a time when he would need it. There was also a defensive set. From the helmet to the armor, all the way to the boots, it was actually a set. Unfortunately, it was of the middle level. It seemed that Zhu Dazhong had no use for it. He probably kept it to reward his disciples. Now, Qin Wushuang took it for himself without holding back. Other than that, there was a secret book that recorded the archaic mysteries sex experience in beast taming. Beast taming was one of the specialties of the Archaic Mysteries sect. In the three Eastern empires, the Archaic Mysteries sect had always been outstanding in beast taming. They were especially good at taming earth elemental beasts. Qin Wushuang flipped through it for a while and felt that it was also good stuff. He stuffed it into his own storage bag. After checking all these items, only a thread-bound ancient book was left. The title of the book was Exploration of the Tianxian Continent. There's such a book? Qin Wushuang was very curious. He took it in his hand and checked it. His heart thumped. This is good stuff. In this table of contents, it mentioned all the forbidden spiritual zones in the Tianxian land. It seemed that all the big and small territories were recorded. There were also many records of legendary figures, events, and major historical events in the Tianxian land. Qin Wushuang clicked his tongue in wonder. This Zhu Dazhong actually collected such good stuff, it's really fresh. I don't know if this ancient book is some unofficial historical notes or an authoritative textual research. After looting all of Zhu Dazhong's equipment, Qin Wushuang finally pulled out young Master Zhao. He unsealed young Master Zhao's mute acupoint and threw him to the ground. He smiled and said, "Young Master Zhao, do you still remember me?" When young Master Zhao heard Qin Wushuang's voice, he was stunned. However, the mask that Qin Wushuang was wearing right now was a completely different person. "You? How did you?" Qin Wushuang laughed coldly. "Tsk, your tone is exactly the same as Zhu Dazhong's before he died. Tell me, who is Zhao Heng to you?" Young Master Zhao trembled. "Sovereign Zhu is dead?" Qin Wushuang said lightly. "You guys schemed to frame me and shift the blame to me. You wanted to use me as a bait to lure the others away so you guys could reap the benefits. This kind of wishful thinking was really well thought out. It was a pity that Zhu Dazhong died before he could achieve victory. I don't like to listen to nonsense. I'll ask again, who is Zhao Heng to you? If you open your mouth again and don't answer my question, I'll cut off your nose. If it's a lie, I'll gouge out your eyeballs as well." Young Master Zhao's entire body twitched. His eyes were filled with fear. You, he immediately realized that he should answer the question and protect his nose. "Zhao Heng is my grandfather. I'm the grandson of the 9 Palace Faction's deputy sovereign. Mister, it was all a misunderstanding. That was Zhu Dazhong's idea." "Is that so?" Qin Wushuang said lazily. "Yes, mister. Zhu Dazhong felt that you guys made him lose face at the restaurant that day. Thus, he had been holding a grudge. He wanted to use a series of vicious schemes to frame you. It really has nothing to do with me. Besides, I'm not on the same side as Zhu Dazhong. He's from the Archaic Mysteries sect in the Heavenly Lake Empire, and I'm from the 9 Palace faction." "Archaic Mysteries sect? 9 Palace faction?" Qin Wushuang pretended to be confused. "These two powerhouses don't seem to have any connection? How come they're in cahoots?" Young Master Zhao complained. "It's all because of the Archaic Mysteries sect and my 9 Palace faction. They wanted to dominate the 3 Eastern empires, but they dragged the 9 Palace faction down with them. They caused my grandfather's Dantian to get shot by someone from the Stargaze Palace. Young Master Zhao only wanted to push all the blame to Zhu Dazhong. He kept splashing dirty water on Zhu Dazhong. Qin Wushuang kept young Master Zhao alive because he wanted to get some information from him. At the same time, since this young Master Zhao had such a high status, he was a rare commodity worth hoarding. At the most crucial moment, he could use him as a chess piece. At the moment, he said, a while ago, there were rumors that the 9 Palace faction had invaded the Stargaze Palace. It seems it's true? Haha, I'm happy to see the 9 Palace faction deal with the Stargaze Palace. Coincidentally, I'm not on good terms with Zhuo Buchuan of the Stargaze Palace. He said the opposite of the truth to get information from this young Master Zhao. On the other hand, this young Master Zhao was a complete idiot. He had grown up in a honeypot. Besides training, he did not have much scheming. Most importantly, his life was in the other party's hands. Of course, he could not think of any reason for the other party to lie to him. Hearing Qin Wushuang's words, he was overjoyed at the unexpected turn of events as he immediately said, "Mister, since you have a conflict with the Stargaze Palace, then we are on the same side. It's like the flood rushing against the Dragon King's temple. Mister, why don't you let me go? Let's discuss how to take care of the Stargaze Palace." Qin Wushuang said proudly, "With your little skills, what makes you think you are qualified to talk about cooperation with me?" Young Master Zhao smiled apologetically. "Since you were able to kill Head Zhu, of course you are powerful. Indeed, I am not qualified to cooperate with you. However, my sect, the Nine Palace faction, is a first-rate major sect. In the human countries, there are no powerhouses that the Nine Palace cannot deal with." "Is that so? I heard that Zhuo Tianxi, the head of the Nine Palace faction, is a figure. I wonder what his strength is like?" Young Master Zhao praised. "Head Zhuo's strength is not a bluff. In the human countries, I am afraid no one can beat him. And Head Zhuo comes from a powerful background. He is related to one of the powerful powerhouses in the Xian Yuan Mound. Thus, in the human countries, no one dares to disobey the Nine Palace faction." Qin Wushuang's heart sank. Zhuo Tianxi had relatives in the Xian Yuan Mound? Head Zhuo has such a relationship? Qin Wushuang could not help but feel curious. Young Master Zhao laughed. "Mister, if I've guessed correctly, you should also be related to the Xian Yuan Mound. Those two girls should be the guests from the Xian Yuan Mound, right?" Qin Wushuang's face sank. "How did you know?" "This is all Sect Master Zhu's speculation." Qin Wushuang waved his hand and pretended to be impatient. "I am not interested in these things. I only want to know, when does the Nine Palace plan to deal with the Stargaze Palace?" However, young Master Zhao said with a troubled tone, "At least, we must wait until my grandfather's injuries have healed. Or it could be in 2 years when we are exploring the endless Eastern Sea." Qin Wushuang kept sneering. "I see, very good. Young Master Zhao, what is your name?" "I am Zhao Rui. Wise Rui." "Zhao Rui?" Qin Wushuang revealed a trace of ridicule. "I can see that your parents had high expectations for you when they gave you this name. Unfortunately, it seems that you did not develop in the direction they expected." Zhao Rui was confused. "What do you mean?" Qin Wushuang only smiled and did not speak. He was mocking Zhao Rui for being a brainless person despite having the word Rui in his name. For a time, this Zhao Rui did not understand. Qin Wushuang continued to seal Zhao Rui and threw him into the storage pouch. Just when Qin Wushuang was about to get up, suddenly, that white sable scuttled out from the bushes in fear. It chirped next to Qin Wushuang's ear. Qin Wushuang's expression changed as he shouted lightly, "Since you are here, don't hide." Jie jie, roar roar, ha ha, accompanied by 3 waves of strange laughter, 3 figures scuttled out from the outside. They formed a triangle shape and surrounded Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang glanced around lightly. In fact, these 3 people had a strange appearance. Each of them wore a strange vest and exposed their muscular arms. Strange patterns were painted on their faces, and the hat on the top of their head all had 3 peacock plumes stuck in it. Are they humans? Inwardly, Qin Wushuang felt strange. These 3 people all held a 3-pronged steel fork. Their strange appearance made Qin Wushuang feel that he had never heard of them. "Who are you people?" Qin Wushuang asked in a low voice. He also saw that these 3 people were all at the upper sky realm. However, they did not pose much of a threat to him. Only, the appearance of these people was too strange. It made Qin Wushuang realize that they did not come from an ordinary background. Suddenly, he remembered the records of the Dispersed Praying Mountain. There were 3 major powerhouses in the Dispersed Praying Mountain: the Monkey Clan of the Monkey King Mountain, the Barbarian Tribe of the Underground Abyss, and the Human Clan of the Red Maple Mountain, the deepest part of the Dispersed Praying Mountain. These three people had strange appearances. Could they be the barbarian tribe? Qin Wushuang said with a light smile. You three, what do you want to do by surrounding me? One of them laughed and swore in the human language. You trash from the human countries, why are you running around instead of looking for the spiritual infant fruits at the Monkey King Mountain? Qin Wushuang was stunned as he did not expect these three barbarians to speak such words. Who told you that I came to the Monkey King Mountain to look for the spiritual infant fruits? Qin Wushuang said lightly. Besides, it doesn't seem to have anything to do with you three whether I look for the spiritual infant fruits or not? That barbarian cried out strangely. How could it not matter? The more trash you humans have, the more trouble you can cause. The more trouble you cause, the more trouble the Monkey Clan of the Monkey King Mountain will have. The more trouble the Monkey Clan is in, the more advantageous it will be for the barbarian tribe to snatch the holy ivory flower. Qin Wushuang was completely stunned. Holy ivory flower? What was that? Indeed, these three were from the barbarian tribe. That barbarian cried out, Since you trash are not going, then become fertilizer for the barbarian tribe. After he had finished speaking, the other two barbarians sneered and roared together. Then, they charged at Qin Wushuang. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 335. Currently, Qin Wushuang's strength was completely different than before his solitary training. Like a gentle breeze, his body flashed lightly and floated into the middle of the air. He poked 3 times with the tip of his finger and the solid sword stage of the coagulated sword left his hand. It turned into 3 waves of sword lights and shot at the 3 barbarians. These 3 barbarians did not expect that Qin Wushuang had such miraculous skill to be able to shoot out sword lights from his fingertip. With a strange cry, they dodged quickly. With a shake of his hand, 3 steel forks shot out from his hand. Like a giant roaring python, they shot towards Qin Wushuang in the air with imposing manner. Qin Wushuang turned around in the air and flicked his hand. With a whooshing sound, the snake-shaped soft whip wrapped around one of the steel forks. Just when he was about to throw it back, he realized that like a slippery fish, this steel fork slipped past his soft whip and scuttled to the other side. The 3 steel forks danced in the air and formed a steel fork dancing formation. When the steel fork flew out from the hand of the first, it was caught by the second. When the steel fork of the second flew out, it was caught by the third. In this cycle, the speed became faster and faster. And as if magic had been cast on that steel fork, Qin Wushuang did not succeed even once when he tried to use the snake-shaped soft whip to restrain it. Qin Wushuang was greatly shocked. He knew that these barbarians must have practiced this kind of attack formation for a long time, and it was a very practical method. At the moment, he did not panic. He had many ways to kill these 3 barbarians. Only, firstly, he did not know if these 3 barbarians had friends. Secondly, this time, he did not want to make more enemies. Immediately, he shouted, You 3, although your steel fork formation is good, it's not enough to kill me. If you don't stop, I will not hold back. The barbarian tribe was the overlord of the dispersed praying mountain. They had always been wild and unreasonable. Compared to the Monkey Clan and the human race, the barbarian tribe was the most unreasonable and the most tyrannical. Hearing the words of Qin Wushuang, these 3 barbarians felt the greatest humiliation. All of them shouted, and not only did they not stop, they attacked even more fiercely. Stupid human, you are destined to be the fertilizer for the barbarian tribe. Die. The 3 barbarians suddenly grabbed their pitchforks and jumped up. Like 3 cannons, they charged at full speed towards Qin Wushuang. 3 silhouettes from 3 different directions had actually sealed off all of Qin Wushuang's paths. The barbarians' bodies were very flexible. With a twist of their bodies and a spring of their bodies, they were like meatballs that could shrink at will. They could borrow strength from the tree trunk at will. In this way, the mobility of these three savages in the air immediately made Qin Wushuang feel a trace of pressure. His body sank and he began to descend. This barbarian has a one-track mind and is completely unreasonable. If I blindly give in, not only will I be looked down upon by them, but I will also accidentally fall into their trap. It will not be good. When Qin Wushuang thought of this, he grabbed the Violet Sun sword with one hand and a flexible whip in the other. After landing on the ground, he focused on attacking the three barbarians with all his might. This multitasking technique naturally shocked the barbarians. Qin Wushuang used the immortal Lingyun steps and attacked one of the barbarians with all his might. As for the other two barbarians, he used the strategy of using footwork to dodge. In this way, under Qin Wushuang's powerful attacks, the situation of 3 against 1 suddenly became like 2 against 1 for Qin Wushuang. Multitasking allowed Qin Wushuang to have 3 heads and 6 arms. The barbarian that was attacked by him screamed again and again, but he was battered and exhausted. At this moment, Qin Wushuang once again felt a surge in his dantian. Once again, his dantian gave out a warning. This was the second sign of a breakthrough. If this kind of warning sign appeared 3 times in a row, it meant that a breakthrough was in front of him. At this moment, the best choice was to find a good place to hide, calm down, and straighten out the spiritual energy surge that appeared at the moment of the breakthrough. At the moment of a breakthrough, the surge of spiritual power would be very violent, like a river breaking through a dam. If it was not properly guided, once this surge of spiritual power went out of control, it would be very dangerous. If the spiritual power rushed out of the dantian and flowed into the meridians of the whole body, it would be 100% the result of qi deviation. When Qin Wushuang thought of this, how could he still have the mood to fight with the 3 barbarians? He twisted his feet and rushed forward. When the 3 barbarians saw Qin Wushuang's posture, they immediately understood his intentions. They called out to each other and prepared to attack Qin Wushuang together. These 3 barbarians were so fierce that they did not even allow Qin Wushuang to escape. When Qin Wushuang saw their posture, he was burning with anger and shouted, "You are going too far. Do you really think I won't kill?" He waved the Violet Sun sword and casually swung it. It was empty like a cool breeze, floating out. But when this sword chi left the sword, its aura suddenly increased greatly and rushed forward. Qin Wushuang's sword aura also changed. It was as if a moment ago it was cloudless and the next moment it became a storm. The sword aura did not stop, constantly stabbing towards the closest barbarian. This wave of attack was as fast as lightning and as fierce as the tide. The barbarian at the front was in dire straits. He waved the steel fork in his hand and tried his best to protect himself. Qin Wushuang sneered. His left hand swept out and a ray of sword chi shot out from his fingertips. One after another, in coordination with the Violet Sun sword's attack, the sword chi fluttered like a butterfly among flowers. Poochie! A crisp sound of flesh being pierced was heard. Qin Wushuang's young charge sword directly hit the barbarian's chest. Since Qin Wushuang had made up his mind to kill, of course, he would not hesitate. He waved the Violet Sun sword and directly chopped off the barbarian's head. With this, the other 2 barbarians were instantly scared out of their wit. They let out 2 strange cries and quickly threw the steel fork in their hands towards Qin Wushuang. They crossed their hands in the middle of their palms and made a very strange gesture. Their expressions were serious and their mouths were constantly moving as if they were chanting some kind of strange spell. Qin Wushuang was stunned. He did not care what kind of trick they were playing. With the graceful spiritual bow in his hand, he continuously shot 2 arrows. With 2 whooshes, the arrows broke through the air. What he wanted was to end the battle quickly. The 2 barbarians were making some strange movements. Before they could complete a set of movements, they saw 2 rays of green light attacking them. Their pupils quickly enlarged, and they were about to jump away. That green light suddenly shot out a dazzling brilliance. It was so dazzling that they could not open their eyes. The absolute brilliance swallowed all the space around them and made them feel a strong pressure of death. Poochie! Poochie! Two sounds rang out almost at the same time. Then, the green arrows of the graceful spiritual bow completely hit the two barbarians. With two booming sounds, the brilliance was like a bomb that quickly exploded. As the brilliance faded away, blood and flesh flew everywhere. These two barbarians did not even understand what was going on. Their blood and flesh flew everywhere and turned into minced meat on the ground. The scene was as miserable as it could get. Qin Wuxuang glanced around coldly and tidied up the scene. Then, he took back the two green arrows and disappeared from the place at a fast speed. He left the scene with fast footsteps. After running for half a day, he found an extremely hidden cave. Qin Wuxuang placed the graceful spiritual bow next to him. As soon as someone barged in, he would pull the graceful spiritual bow and shoot the other party to death without mercy. It was because Qin Wuxuang knew that although this solitary training would not take a long time, at most, it would take a day and a night. However, it would be extremely important and no one would be allowed to disturb him. If someone were to disturb him during the breakthrough and cause him to make a mistake in controlling the spiritual qi, the consequences would be unimaginable. Qin Wuxuang knew that this time, the signs of a breakthrough had truly appeared. And it would come one after another. Perhaps, tomorrow morning, I will be at the advanced stage. Perhaps. He did not dare to keep thinking about it. That possibility would be terrifying. It was because this time, the environment for his solitary training was extremely dangerous. He did not have any protection. Besides the white sable that was standing guard outside the cave, he did not have a single person to protect him. This time, it was 10 times more dangerous than the time at the Green Jade Mountain. After all, at the Green Jade Mountain, he had 9 of his fellow disciples protecting him. And this time, besides the white sable, he had nothing. Although the white sable was a spiritual beast, its combat power would be negligible when facing any upper sky elite warrior. Thus, this time, the only thing Qin Wuxuang could rely on was the graceful spiritual bow next to him. Like an inflated balloon, Qin Wuxuang's dantian kept expanding. Currently, the spiritual qi inside his dantian was surging like a river. Although it was surging, it was still in order. Everything was under Qin Wuxuang's control. This spiritual qi kept impacting his dantian and finally, it would cause his dantian to evolve. From there, he would officially enter the advanced stage. And to break through, Qin Wuxuang needed to guide these spiritual qi and control them inside his dantian. He would not let them run around and out of his dantian. Through the impacting and pushing of the spiritual qi, his dantian kept expanding at a visible speed. This was the entire dashing process. Once he succeeded, it meant that he had completed the breakthrough and truly entered the advanced stage. Qin Wuxuang did not dare to let down his guard. He controlled each impact carefully and did not pursue the speed too much. He knew that despite the dangerous environment of his solitary training, he must not pursue the speed too much during the dashing process. More haste, less speed. The more he pursued the speed, the more likely he would mess things up. Once the spiritual qi surged too much and he could not control his dantian, the situation would go out of control. This was not something Qin Wuxuang wanted to encounter. It was also not something any dashing warrior would want to face. After a night, Qin Wuxuang's forehead was full of sweat. He felt fortunate that he did not encounter any dangers or accidents during this night. It could be said that the most dangerous night had passed. Although the remaining matters still required a process, in comparison, the possibility of accidents would be much smaller. Now, all the spiritual qi had formed into a wave of familiar warmth and started to roast his dantian. It was making the final choice. In this process, this wave of warmth would push out the impurities from the spiritual chi and form a wave of foul air to shoot out from his dantian. As long as this foul air was completely expelled, it meant that he would bid farewell to the old and welcome the new. He would officially enter the advanced stage. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 336. Whoosh. Qin Wuxuang opened his mouth and opened his eyes wide. Suddenly, he spat out a mouthful of foul air. As he spat out this mouthful of foul air, instantly, Qin Wuxuang's face was filled with joy. He knew that the advanced stage he had dreamed of had arrived like a dream. At this moment, Qin Wuxuang was no longer a middle stage warrior. He no longer needed to linger in the middle stage. Advanced stage. Without a doubt, he had entered the advanced stage directly. Qin Wuxuang felt the powerful life force in his dantian and all the changes that had happened inside his body. It was extremely joyful and joyful. Qin Wuxuang called out lightly, and that white sable scuttled in from the outside. Overjoyed, it jumped onto Qin Wuxuang's shoulder and started to chatter. Apparently, it was also extremely surprised by Qin Wuxuang's breakthrough. However, it was even more joyful. Advanced stage. Qin Wuxuang's eyes were brimming with tears, as if his eyes were brimming with tears. All of this had come at the right time. Ever since the incident with his teacher, even in his dreams, he had imagined himself entering the advanced stage. He had imagined himself breaking the seal of the purple flame electric beast. He had imagined himself killing his way to the Nine Palace faction with the graceful spiritual bow. He had imagined himself killing Zhao Heng with his own hands and taking his head to avenge his teacher. However, each time he had woken up, he would feel disappointed and frustrated. Again and again, he would experience disappointment and a sense of powerlessness. And now, the scene he had longed for in his dreams had finally appeared. How could he not be overjoyed when it had become a reality? Stay calm. Qin Wuxuang inwardly reminded himself, before I get the spiritual infant fruits, I cannot delay any longer. Bao Bao said that something had happened to the monkey clan and I must go take a look. If I am late and someone else took the spiritual infant fruits, wouldn't I have wasted my time and wasted everything? When he thought about the barbarian tribe, he also felt anxious. There was no doubt that the three barbarians had provided him with a very clear message. The barbarians wanted to give him some kind of sacred item in the Monkey King Mountain. That sacred item was called the Holy Ivory Flower. Although Qin Wuxuang didn't know what the Holy Ivory Flower was, but since the barbarian tribe had mobilized so many people and used human adventurers as bait to attract the attention of the Monkey King Mountain, it must be something special. Otherwise, the barbarian tribe wouldn't have made such a big fuss. I can't let the barbarian tribe make the first move. Qin Wuxuang thought to this point and did not hesitate any longer. He quickly moved out and once again rushed towards the Monkey King Mountain. He heard from Bao Bao that the spiritual infant fruits were at the Phoenix Return Mountain. And the Phoenix Return Mountain was the place where the king of the Monkey Clan resided. Thus, Bao Bao said that it was almost impossible to get the spiritual infant fruits, unless one could defeat the king of the Monkey Clan. Although that was what he said, Qin Wuxuang had no reason to give up. He felt that if he wanted to obtain the spiritual infant fruits, he did not necessarily have to fight with the Monkey King. There were many ways. It all depended on how Qin Wuxuang used his brain. Qin Wuxuang traveled at a fast speed. Soon, he had returned to the Monkey King Mountain. When he found the direction of the Phoenix Return Mountain, Qin Wuxuang quickly rushed up the mountain. What Qin Wuxuang did not expect was that in less than 10 days after he had left the Monkey King Mountain, the Monkey King Mountain had undergone such earth-shattering changes. The surrounding vegetation was scorched and withered. Along the way, it was a scene of destruction. All kinds of big trees had fallen to the ground. The scene was extremely messy. It was as if the entire Monkey King Mountain had been ransacked. Especially on the way to the Phoenix Return Mountain, there were traces of battle everywhere. Indeed, the barbarian tribe had started a war with the Monkey Clan. Along the way, there were either the dead bodies of the Monkey Clan or the barbarian tribe. It seemed that this battle was not an ordinary small conflict. The barbarian tribe had killed their way to the headquarters of the Monkey Clan. It was apparent that the barbarian tribe had mobilized a large number of elite troops and were determined to win. Or else, even if there were some small conflicts between powerful powerhouses in the same area, it would not be this tragic with corpses everywhere. After watching for a moment, Qin Wushuang quickly rushed up with concern. The higher he went, the more tragic the scene became. All kinds of horrible scenes made Qin Wushuang feel like vomiting. The battles of the barbarian tribe were extremely brutal. Their battles were not as simple as killing the enemy. After they had killed the enemy, they even had the habit of sucking the marrow out of the corpses. Thus, the number of elite warriors of the Monkey Clan that had died along the way was extremely tragic. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang felt sorrowful as he thought. The killing at this dispersed praying mountain is much more direct and barbaric than the human countries. I wonder, how many people did these barbarian tribes send out? Along the way, Qin Wushuang passed by the barbarian tribe's sentries. However, the training of the barbarian tribe was not as precise as that of humans. Their patrolling relied more on their primitive instincts and their primitive skills. For example, their ability to hide. Despite this fact, Qin Wushuang still encountered a lot of resistance along the way. Fortunately, Qin Wushuang traveled at a fast speed and did not get entangled with the barbarian tribe. After walking for an hour, Qin Wushuang finally saw the core area of the Monkey Clan. The monkey race was different from humans. They didn't have any majestic palaces, nor did they have any residences. Instead, they lived in a gigantic cave. The cave was filled with layers and layers of rocks, forming a majestic stone forest. This was the core region of the monkey race's holy land. Currently, the area before this stone forest was completely occupied by the barbarian tribe. As soon as Qin Wushuang arrived, a group of barbarians rushed up and stopped him. "Stupid human, how did you get up here?" At this moment, a few sharp whistling sounds emerged from behind the stone forest. A group of barbarians kept scuttling out as if they were chasing after something. They kept yelling in an incomprehensible language. Qin Wushuang was out of his wits. He did not expect that the entire Phoenix Return Mountain had been occupied by the barbarian tribe. As for these savages, they were all at the middle spirit level, and this was the minimum. Some of them were even at the advanced stage. "Catch that little gold ape, whoever catches it will be heavily rewarded," one of the leaders of the barbarian tribe shouted. At this moment, Qin Wushuang suddenly moved his feet and something seemed to be wiggling in his pants. Qin Wushuang looked down and it was Bao Bao. Apparently, those barbarians had also seen Bao Bao as they all rushed over. Qin Wushuang put Bao Bao on his shoulder and jumped back a dozen steps. He waved the snake-shaped soft whip and drew a circle to block those barbarians. "Hold on!" That leader of the barbarians sized Qin Wushuang from head to toe. Qin Wushuang was calm and collected. He could see that among these barbarians, none of them were at the perfect stage. At least, none of them were at the perfect stage. Thus, Qin Wushuang knew that he could deal with these people. "Are you a human from the Red Maple Mountain? May I ask your surname?" That barbarian spoke with his wrinkled human language. Qin Wushuang shook his head and said, "No. Xian Yuan Mound." The expression of that leader of the barbarians changed slightly. Qin Wushuang was also unwilling to lie as he laughed. "Why are you asking so many questions?" Bao Bao stood on Qin Wushuang's shoulder and said something to Qin Wushuang in the beast language with an excited expression. After Qin Wushuang had finished listening, the expression on his face changed slightly. Today, 3 tribal chiefs at the perfect stage had come to the barbarian tribe. Currently, these 3 perfect stage warriors were attacking the Silver Monkey King of the Monkey Clan. The Silver Monkey King was the king of the Monkey Clan and the strongest warrior of the Monkey Clan. He had already reached the peak of the perfect stage and could break into the Void Martial stage at any moment. At the dispersed Praying Mountain, the Silver Monkey King was unquestionably the #1 warrior. Even the strongest tribal chief of the barbarian tribe could not fight against the Silver Monkey King one-on-one. Initially, the Monkey Clan also had a few elite warriors. However, these elite warriors had gone to a holy place in the Xian Yuan Mound to participate in the great sacrifice of the Beast Clan. Thus, they were not at the Monkey King Mountain. This also caused the core strength of the Monkey King Mountain to appear empty. With the power of the Silver Monkey King, of course, he could only resist a few perfect stage warriors. To the other advanced stage warriors of the barbarian tribe, he could not divert his attention to deal with them. This also caused these bloodthirsty barbarian warriors to start a massacre at the Monkey King Mountain. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh inwardly. Initially, he wanted to sell a piece of information to the Monkey Clan and tell them that the barbarian tribe is after their holy object. It seems that this information is no longer useful. Bao Bao urged him in beast language. Human, cover me to the back of the mountain, I will tell you where the spiritual infant fruits are. Qin Wushuang asked, How do we get to the back of the mountain? Go around this stone forest and head to the other side. That will be the back of the mountain. After receiving Bao Bao's instructions, Qin Wushuang observed the surrounding for a moment. Inwardly, he smiled bitterly. It was not easy to get to this back of the mountain. At least a dozen elite warriors of the barbarian tribe had occupied this area. It would be extremely difficult to break through from any direction. Just those 5 or 6 advanced stage warriors were enough to make most of the human elite warriors retreat. However, up to this point, making this deal with Bao Bao should be his only choice. Qin Wushuang shot a few glances and had an idea. He opened his mouth. Everyone of the barbarian tribe, I came here to take the spiritual infant fruits. I hold no grudge with you. Please make way for us. As Qin Wushuang spoke, he grabbed with his hand and revealed the graceful spiritual bow. Qin Wushuang intended to establish his authority as he initiated his spiritual qi. Immediately, the graceful spiritual bow shone with light and appeared extremely enchanting like a bright pearl in the boundless Milky Way. Everyone, when I draw this bow, even elite warriors at the perfect stage will be killed. If you don't believe me, you can come and try the power of this bow. These people of the barbarian tribe were not ignorant. When they saw the powerful power of the graceful spiritual bow, they were already intimidated by its temperament. Qin Wushuang gave a cold sneer. Just when he was about to move forward, suddenly, Bao Bao said in beast language, Cute human, please restrain your thoughts and close your eyes. I will take you to the back of the mountain. Before Qin Wushuang understood what was going on, suddenly, the ground beneath his feet sank. Next, his vision darkened as if he had entered an endless underground world. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Only now did Qin Wushuang realize that he was moving under the ground when he heard the sound of the earth moving. In a moment, with a rumbling sound from the ground, Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao broke through the earth. They were already at the edge of the cliff. Overjoyed, Bao Bao kissed Qin Wushuang's ear with his furry little mouth. With a creak, he scuttled out. Hey Bao Bao, wait for me. Qin Wushuang realized that they were most likely at the back of the mountain. However, Bao Bao had not fulfilled his promise yet. The spiritual infant fruits. Qin Wushuang wanted the spiritual infant fruits. Today's 4 chapters have ended, tomorrow's 4 chapters will continue. Then, there will be 3 consecutive days. Please log in to the starting point and vote for Xing He. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log in to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 337. Qin Wushuang had used the graceful spiritual bow to intimidate the barbarian tribe. And Bao Bao also used this moment when the barbarian tribe was distracted to perform his best drilling technique and successfully escaped to the back mountain. Initially, the barbarian tribe was also known as the Deep Abyss Barbarian Tribe. Thus, a moment ago, Bao Bao had been chased by these elite warriors of the barbarian tribe and could not reach the back mountain. And now, these barbarian tribe members were intimidated by the temperament of Qin Wushuang's graceful spiritual bow. For a time, they could not react. Bao Bao took advantage of this gap and quickly drilled into the ground. Finally, he was the first to escape from the barbarian tribe's attack range. After running a few steps, Bao Bao remembered Qin Wushuang. He turned around and chirped, "Human friend, you are a rare person with such courage and insight. After we beat back the elite warriors of the barbarian tribe, I will come and help you get the spiritual infant fruits." Qin Wushuang said urgently, "Where are you going in such a hurry?" Bao Bao said urgently, "The Silver Monkey King is fighting with the leader of the barbarian tribe at the cliff. I must go and take a look. All the elite warriors of the Monkey King Mountain are not here. I am worried that the Silver Monkey King cannot stop them alone." However, Qin Wushuang said, "You are going? Will you be able to help?" Hearing Qin Wushuang's words, Bao Bao also felt somewhat depressed. He knew that after all, he was still young and did not have enough strength. At least, it was too early for him to deal with those vicious barbarian chieftains. However, at the current Monkey King Mountain, there were no elite warriors. Normal elite warriors were all pinned down by the barbarian tribe and could not come to help. Besides, even if they did come, they would be too far away. However, Qin Wushuang asked, "Along the way, I heard that the barbarian tribe wanted to steal some holy ivory flower from your Monkey King Mountain. What is that?" Bao Bao was surprised. "You heard it?" "Yes, Bao Bao, if you trust me, then tell me what the holy ivory flower is. What is its use? Perhaps I can help you think of a way." Qin Wushuang's tone was full of sincerity. He wasn't interested in the holy ivory flower. All he wanted was the spiritual infant fruit. Bao Bao did not hesitate. Apparently, he also had a favorable impression of Qin Wushuang, this human. He said, "The holy ivory flower is the most mysterious and holy flower of the Monkey King Mountain. Whoever can swallow the holy ivory flower, of course, their strength will increase by leaps and bounds. They will also be able to copy countless ancient secret techniques and divine skills in their mind. For example, I am an advanced stage spiritual beast. Once I consume it, I will enter the perfect stage immediately. And from now on, his cultivation would progress very quickly." Even across the entire Xian Yuan Mound, this holy ivory flower was rare. This thing could only appear once every 10,000 years. Our Monkey King Mountain has always kept this a secret, but I don't know how the barbarian tribe found out about it. Qin Wushuang sighed and said, "There is no such thing as an airtight wall in the world." Bao Bao also said angrily, "When the elite warriors of the Monkey Clan return, we will make the barbarian tribe pay the price." Bao Bao grumbled and urged, "Cute human friend, do you have a way or not? I can make the decision to give you the spiritual infant fruits you want." "You can make the decision?" Qin Wushuang blinked his eyes. Bao Bao smiled slyly. "You are truly a foreigner. At the dispersed praying mountain, everyone knows that I, the golden-haired monkey Bao, am the next Monkey King. They said that my talent is 10 times better than the Silver Monkey King. Historically, the golden-haired monkey had appeared 3 or 4 times in the Monkey Clan. In the end, they all achieved the Tao of the Divine Martial Force." Tao of the Divine Martial Force? Inwardly, Qin Wushuang's heart thumped. This was a stage he had never heard of. Could there be a Tao of the divine martial force above the void martial force? However, he also knew that none of this was related to the current situation. After a moment of thinking, Qin Wushuang said in a low voice, "Bao Bao, I have a way to settle this dispute." "What way?" Bao Bao immediately asked. "It's simple, the barbarian tribe came for that holy ivory flower. If the holy ivory flower is gone, they will have no target." "Without a target, would they still need to keep fighting?" Bao Bao was astonished. "Without the holy ivory flower? What do you mean?" Qin Wushuang encouraged him further. "Bao Bao, since you are the next Monkey King of the Monkey Clan, then it should not be a waste for you to swallow this holy ivory flower, right?" Bao Bao rolled his eyes and said with a stutter, "However, without the approval of the Silver Monkey King, without the ruling of all the elders of the Monkey Clan, I am afraid it's not good for me to swallow it for no reason, right?" Qin Wushuang laughed. "I will only ask you, has the holy ivory flower ripened yet? It should be in these few days, perhaps it has ripened. Because of this, the barbarian tribe is calculating the time. Darn it, I don't know how the news got out." Qin Wushuang waved his hand. "Don't think about how the news got out. Now, to save your Monkey King Mountain from this calamity, there is only one way. That is to swallow the holy ivory flower and make the barbarian tribe give up completely." Bao Bao was hesitant and inwardly, he was also thinking. Qin Wushuang encouraged him. "Bao Bao, for each moment you hesitate, the calamity of the Monkey Clan will be prolonged. Since you are the next Monkey King, you should show some courage. Besides, you are swallowing the holy ivory flower to save the entire clan, and not to give up on yourself. You go and swallow the holy ivory flower, I will cover you. Then, use your voice to tell them that the holy ivory flower was swallowed by the heir of the Monkey Clan. When the Silver Monkey King hears this, he will surely react. I believe that at that time, he will agree with your actions." Bao Bao nodded. "This is the only way. Human friend. No, I remember you are called Wushuang, right? If you can cover me, I promise that I will give you the spiritual infant fruits." Qin Wushuang was overjoyed at this turn of events. "Great, this is a happy ending." Bao Bao said, "Follow me." Bao Bao did not dig into the ground, but ran at a fast speed. Qin Wushuang followed behind him. After a few turns, he saw that halfway up the slope, the 3 barbarian chieftains were beating a Monkey King whose entire body was shining with silver lights. This Monkey King appeared majestic from head to toe. His body was much bigger than ordinary Monkey Clan members, and each of the 3 barbarian chieftains had their own unique characteristic. Each of them held a weapon and used the barbarian tribe's most proficient method to surround the Silver Monkey King. The battle between these 4 elite warriors was extremely ferocious. On that side of the slope, almost not a single blade of grass could stand upright. All of them had fallen to the ground under their strong wind. The entire slope was full of potholes as if it had been bombarded by countless cannonballs. It was extremely tragic. No wonder the Silver Monkey King was at the peak of the perfect stage. He waved the long stick in his hand a few times and dissolved all the attacks from the 3 barbarian chieftains. From this situation, although the Silver Monkey King was struggling, he should be able to hold on for a short time. Qin Wushuang asked Bao Bao, "Where is the holy ivory flower?" Bao Bao said, "On the top of that slope there is a cliff. It's inside the crack of that cliff." Qin Wushuang said, "Okay, you go, I will cover you." Bao Bao said, "Let's go through the ground." Qin Wushuang stopped him. "Don't go through the ground. Before the perfect stage, any random attack from them could cut off the ley lines and make you unable to pass. Let's go through that slope." Bao Bao nodded. "Okay." Qin Wushuang said, "Let's go." 1 human and 1 beast, 2 figures dashed to the bottom of that slope. The Silver Monkey King saw Bao Bao from the corner of his eyes and shouted, "Bao Bao, what are you doing here?" Bao Bao cried out, "Monkey King, The elders that went to the Xian Yuan Mound to participate in the sacrificial ceremony have returned. They already have the situation under control outside. Bao Bao's words made Qin Wushuang overjoyed. It seemed that Bao Bao had a quick reaction. He shouted in a low voice, "Go!" Bao Bao dashed forward at a fast speed and was about to pass through. One of the barbarian chieftains that used a blade gave a loud shout and turned around to attack. Chi! With a miserable sound of blade light, it slashed onto the slope. Instantly, a long gully appeared on that slope. It blocked Bao Bao. Qin Wushuang shouted, "Friends of the barbarian tribe, whoever tries to stop Bao Bao, I will shoot at them without hesitation." Qin Wushuang initiated his temperament and the graceful spiritual bow shone brightly. The awe-inspiring bow and arrow emitted a powerful presence and started to lock onto the target from afar. The intimidating power of this graceful spiritual bow was extremely powerful. Although it was a few dozen meters away, it made the three chieftains of the barbarian tribe feel as if there was a blade at their back when he pointed at it. That barbarian chieftain that used a blade sneered, "Threatening our barbarian chieftain? This stupid human, when did he become an accomplice of the Monkey King Mountain?" After he had finished speaking, he waved his giant blade and sent out two blade attacks. These two blade attacks were like two waves of fierce wind that swept over at a rapid speed. Qin Wushuang shouted, "Watch the arrow!" He initiated with all his strength and instantly, the graceful spiritual bow was like a full moon. The jade-green arrow shot out with a loud rumble. Like a verdant dragon, it tore apart the sky and roared out, "Roar!" As soon as this arrow shot out, with a flash of green light, a dazzling light erupted. That barbarian chieftain that used a blade was astonished as his pupils were filled with a wave of powerful green light. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang was also pleasantly surprised when he shot out this arrow. He could clearly feel that the power of this arrow had increased by almost 2 times. Indeed, the advanced stage had greatly boosted the graceful spiritual bow. Danger! The barbarian tribe's chief didn't even think about it. He threw his broadsword away, and with a gust of wind, it turned into a shield and rushed forward, colliding with the green light that was shot out by the green arrow. And this barbarian chieftain jumped at a high speed and swept to the side. The instant Qin Wushuang shouted, "Watch the arrow," Bao Bao had already understood tacitly. He rushed forward and dashed up the slope. Qin Wushuang also borrowed the momentum and jumped up. He scuttled up the slope and occupied the high ground. Still holding the graceful spiritual bow in his hand, he locked onto the battle from afar. "Bao Bao, go!" Bao Bao did not dare to linger as he dashed directly to the top of the slope. Qin Wushuang shouted, "Whoever dares to come up, I will let you guys experience the taste of my continuous arrows." Instantly, this threat had intimidated those 3 barbarian chieftains. And now, Bao Bao had scuttled to the top of the mountain. Qin Wushuang shouted, "Silver Monkey King, I am letting Bao Bao swallow the holy ivory flower to save this calamity, you don't mind, right?" When the Silver Monkey King heard his words, he paused inwardly and immediately understood the profound theory here. He laughed. "Wonderful, wonderful!" Initially, this holy ivory flower was prepared for the next king of the Monkey King Mountain. On the other hand, the 3 barbarian chieftains were both shocked and furious. If Bao Bao had swallowed the holy ivory flower, wouldn't they have wasted their efforts? Instead, they would have completely offended the Monkey Clan. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 338. When they thought here, the 3 barbarian tribal chiefs threw a glance at each other. They planned to leave the Silver Monkey King behind and chase after Bao Bao. The Silver Monkey King gave a strange laugh and waved the long stick in his hand in the air. He slashed 3 times and instantly, tens and thousands of stick shadows bloomed in the sky. Each of the shadows carried a biting cold presence as they smashed towards those 3 people. When these 4 people were fighting, it was not easy to separate them. Of course, it would not be easy for the Silver Monkey King to get rid of these 3 barbarian tribal chiefs. However, it would also not be easy for these 3 barbarian tribal chiefs to get rid of the Silver Monkey King. Qin Wushuang said with a cold sneer, "You 3, if you want to try the power of my divine arrow, then come. I promise I will not disappoint you." The Silver Monkey King laughed and said in human language, "Human friend, thank you." Qin Wushuang laughed, "Monkey King, let one out and I will shoot him back. You can use this chance to finish them off with your weapon." The Silver Monkey King responded, "As long as your divine arrow can make them tired, I promise to shoot them to death one by one." Qin Wushuang said, "Monkey King, I do not hold any grudges with the barbarian tribe and do not want to kill them easily. However, if they insist on doing things their own way, I would not mind shooting again." A moment ago, that tribal chief with the blade had experienced the power of Qin Wushuang's divine arrow. After being hit by the divine arrow, his weapon was completely useless. It was destroyed beyond recognition and had become a piece of scrap metal. It no longer had the shape of a blade. Thus, when he heard Qin Wushuang's threat, he also restrained his fear of the graceful spiritual bow in Qin Wushuang's hand. The Silver Monkey King used the trace of hesitation in their hearts to raise the long stick and attack even more fiercely. With the stick in his hand, he kept throwing out waves of shocking attack. With the Silver Monkey King's tall figure, once he used the long stick, he was like a fish in the water. Each time the stick came down, those 3 barbarian tribal chiefs felt their blood boil. Instantly, one of the barbarian tribal chiefs cried out, "Everyone, don't think about that little monkey, use all your power to deal with this Silver Monkey King." "Okay. Kill the old monkey first, then the little monkey." They spoke the language of the barbarian tribe, which Qin Wushuang could not understand. However, the Silver Monkey King understood and sneered, "Not a bad idea, but just the 3 of you are not enough." As it spoke, the Silver Monkey King's body flashed with a silver light, and its body suddenly expanded a lot. All the hair on its body stood up like silver needles, emitting a silver light. Once the Silver Monkey King grew in size, its staff techniques suddenly became fierce. The long staff in its hand swelled up in the wind, and every time it swung out, the hillside would shake as if there was an earthquake. Qin Wushuang was standing halfway up the slope, watching the battle. His heart was shaken, his spirit was galloping, he was endlessly shocked. It was his first time witnessing a battle of this level. To put it bluntly, Zhao Heng's strength was at most at the level of one of the barbarian chieftains, or even slightly inferior. Even so, the 3 barbarian chieftains were still struggling under the powerful attacks of the Silver Monkey King after its transformation. Just as Qin Wushuang was watching seriously, a violent sound suddenly came from behind him. Then, a violent tremor came from under his feet. The frequency of the tremor, from the initial slight tremor, became more and more violent, and then it started shaking at a high speed. Boom! Another violent sound came. When Qin Wushuang turned around to look, he saw a ray of light shooting up to the sky from the back of the mountain. This kind of momentum was like a volcano that had been dormant for thousands of years suddenly erupting, emitting a dazzling light. Then, a scene that shocked everyone happened. The mountain at the top of the mountain seemed to have been sliced by a divine weapon, and slowly split into 2 halves. The speed of the splitting was very fast. From the cracks, huge rocks and rocks continuously fell into the crack. Qin Wushuang was dumbfounded. This majestic mountain actually had a situation of splitting open. This kind of spectacular scene was something that Qin Wushuang had never seen in his previous life. This entire mountain was like a fruit that had been cut open in the middle as it kept splitting open. The three barbarian chieftains were shocked as they mumbled with a nervous expression. The Silver Monkey King said in human language, "Human friend, hurry and leave this hillside, hurry." Qin Wushuang said, "Bao Bao is not out yet." The Silver Monkey King yelled, "Bao Bao will be fine, hurry and leave." There was a trace of urgency in the Silver Monkey King's voice. He waved the long stick and shouted at the three barbarian chieftains, "I will reason with your tribe when I have time. Today is the end." As he spoke, he waved the long stick and forced the three barbarian chieftains to retreat. When Qin Wushuang saw the Silver Monkey King doing this, he also could not move fast. Again, the Silver Monkey King waved the long stick and opened a path for Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang's body shot down the slope at a rapid speed. Apparently, those three barbarian chieftains also realized the great change in the heaven and earth. It was not something they could resist with their strength. At the moment, they did not care about anything else and ran away as if there was an evil spirit chasing after them. Just when Qin Wushuang and the others jumped out of this hillside at the same time, the entire hillside, with a rumbling sound, instantly dispersed. Like a jar that had suddenly exploded, stone fragments swirled in the air. This mountain had exploded from the middle. Instantly, the heaven and earth shone brightly as stone fragments danced in the air. The sky was filled with dust and flying stones that rushed out from the mountain. It was a spectacular sight. Qin Wushuang was dumbstruck as if he was watching a fireworks festival. Only, the things that were spurting out were not colorful fireworks, but rocks, dust, and magma from the mountain. "Monkey King, where is Bao Bao?" Qin Wushuang asked with a heavy heart. The Silver Monkey King glanced around and saw the three barbarian chieftains on the other side. Immediately, he said in a low voice, "Bao Bao will be fine." But Qin Wushuang looked at the shocking change in front of him. The entire hilltop had completely erupted. Like a gunpowder warehouse exploding, all kinds of things were spurting out one after another. All of this is because Bao Bao swallowed the holy ivory flower. In the tone of the Silver Monkey King, there was a trace of joy and a trace of regret. Swallowing the holy ivory flower has such a powerful aura. Qin Wushuang drew a breath of cold air. The Silver Monkey King laughed. The holy ivory flower is a holy object that only appears once every 10,000 years. Naturally, the aura is incomparably great when it appears. While they were discussing, the eruption of the entire mountain became even more intense. Rumbling, rumbling, it was as if the heaven and earth could collapse at any time. It was truly a doomsday scene. Suddenly, a surge of air rushed out from the inside. Within the air flow, countless rocks flew out and scattered in all directions. It was a spectacular scene like meteorites falling from the sky. And within this air flow, a golden figure emitting a dazzling golden light soared into the sky. This golden light flashed and instantly turned into tens of thousands of rays of light, dyeing the entire Phoenix Return Mountain into a golden color. "It's Bao Bao." Qin Wushuang was overjoyed. As if everything was within his calculations, the Silver Monkey King nodded with a smile. "Yes, it's Bao Bao. Gold Monkey King. My monkey clan finally has a Gold Monkey King, ha ha ha." The tone of the Silver Monkey King was filled with joy. This kind of joy was not simply the joy of a new king. It was a type of hope, a type of emotion, a type of belief that had suddenly been realized. Bao Bao continued to rise in the airflow. Suddenly, his body expanded from a meatball into a golden body that was 30 meters tall. He was majestic and magnificent, just like a giant monkey. Compared to the little Bao Bao that Qin Wushuang had seen earlier, his size was more than 1,000 times smaller. Disbelief shot out from the eyes of those three barbarian chieftains. Then, they realized something as their expression changed drastically. "Not good, retreat. The Gold Monkey King is born." Earlier, the three barbarian chieftains were insufferably arrogant as they competed with the Silver Monkey King. However, at this moment, they did not even dare to let out a fart. They only hated their parents for not giving them 2 more legs as they ran down the mountain while covering their head. The Silver Monkey King gave a long sigh and did not chase after them. In fact, he knew that although the Gold Monkey King was terrifying, Bao Bao had just evolved into the Gold Monkey King and had not unleashed his full power. Most likely, Bao Bao's current combat power was weaker than his Silver Monkey King. Of course, the deterrence of the Gold Monkey King was still there. In the history of the Tian Xian land, the power of the Gold Monkey King was almost a legendary existence. Thus, these 3 barbarian chieftains did not hesitate and immediately ran away. Before the legendary Gold Monkey King, they did not have any thoughts of luck. The Silver Monkey King shouted, "Bao Bao, control your state of mind, don't rush anymore." After he had finished speaking, the Silver Monkey King felt a lump in his throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. He panted loudly. Qin Wushuang was shocked as he immediately asked, "Monkey King, are you all right?" The Silver Monkey King gave a long sigh. "Human friend, now you know why those 3 barbarian chieftains did not leave until Bao Bao had evolved into the Gold Monkey King, right?" Qin Wushuang nodded silently. Initially, those 3 barbarian chieftains already knew that the Silver Monkey King was injured. Initially, the Silver Monkey King's transformation was a secret divine skill of the Monkey Clan. Once it was unleashed, it consumed a lot of spiritual qi. It could be said that it was a self-destructive technique. Apparently, those 3 barbarian chieftains knew this point and wanted to stay and take advantage of the situation. And the appearance of the Gold Monkey King had completely destroyed all their hopes of luck. Thus, they fled in panic. In the middle of the air, Bao Bao laughed and twisted his body. Then, he slowly withdrew his divine skill and shrunk his body. He somersaulted in the air and scuttled to the cliff on this side of the mountain path. "Silver Monkey King, I swallowed the holy ivory flower." The Silver Monkey King nodded with gratification. "Good, Bao Bao, you must remember, from now on, you are no longer a little gold monkey, but the Gold Monkey King, the king of the Monkey Clan." Bao Bao flickered his tongue. "Silver Monkey King, Bao Bao is still young, I don't want to become a king at such an early age. How about you take care of the Monkey King Mountain first, I will go and gain some experience." Currently, the tone of the Silver Monkey King sounded like a subordinate. "You don't need to worry about the Monkey King Mountain." With the appearance of the Gold Monkey King, the goal of the Monkey Clan should change. Goal? Bao Bao could not understand. Yes, the Monkey Clan should have lived in the Xian Yuan Mound. After being exiled to the dispersed Praying Mountain for a few thousand years, it's time for us to return. From the tone of the Silver Monkey King, there was a sense of vicissitudes of life. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 339. Qin Wushuang listened silently. He had already guessed that this Monkey Clan should be a branch of the Xian Yuan Mound. Only, they were exiled to this dispersed Praying Mountain. However, he did not want to get involved with the internal affairs of the Monkey Clan. Although he felt happy for his friend, Bao Bao, he was more concerned about the spiritual infant fruit. After that battle, regardless of Bao Bao or the Silver Monkey King, they all approved of Qin Wushuang as a human. And the Monkey Clan did not reject humans as strongly as the barbarian tribe. Overall, they were rather tolerant and friendly to humans. Or else, the Monkey Clan would have started a massacre when human adventurers often wandered to the Monkey King Mountain. Silver Monkey King, let's return to the Stone Forest Cave first. This time, the barbarian tribe had wreaked havoc and the Monkey Clan had suffered a great loss. Bao Bao said with a heavy tone. The Silver Monkey King gave a long sigh. Fortunately, I had predicted something was wrong and had already dismissed all the Monkey Clan disciples. Or else, the casualties would have been even greater. Although the barbarian tribe did not send out many people, they were all elite warriors used to battle. Okay, for this grudge, we will settle it with the barbarian tribe in the future. When they returned to the Stone Forest Cave, the Silver Monkey King sent out the order to gather all the hidden Monkey Clan disciples. After a little calculation, this time, the Monkey Clan had lost 300 or 400 disciples. And they were all warriors of the Monkey Clan. Although they were not the best, they were the main force. Of course, the barbarian tribe had also suffered a great loss. The number of casualties was about the same for both sides. After cleaning up the battlefield and reorganizing, the holy place of the Monkey Clan at the Phoenix Return Mountain had returned to its original state. When facing a human friend like Qin Wushuang, of course, the hospitable Monkey Clan brought out the best monkey wine to entertain their guest. Qin Wushuang felt deeply honored to be accompanied by both the Gold Monkey King and the Silver Monkey King. This was not a treatment that ordinary humans could enjoy. When the Silver Monkey King asked about Qin Wushuang's background, Qin Wushuang felt that since he had experienced a life-and-death battle with the Monkey Clan, of course, he must hide it. Immediately, he said, Wushuang came from the great Luo Empire in the eastern part of the human countries and is a disciple of the Stargaze Palace. Because his teacher was attacked by the Nine Palace faction, his dantian had been damaged. He had come to the dispersed praying mountain to search for the spiritual infant fruits. Unexpectedly, when we arrived at the Monkey King Mountain. Hearing this, the Silver Monkey King was also surprised. I didn't think that there would be such a righteous person in the human countries. I have underestimated the human countries. Wushuang, you have come to the right place at our Monkey King Mountain. Bao Bao chuckled. Silver Monkey King, I already told him that he came to the right place. However, I also told him that if he wanted to obtain the spiritual infant fruits, he would have to defeat the king of our Monkey Clan. The Silver Monkey King nodded. Originally, it was not easy to obtain something like the spiritual infant fruit. Although our Monkey King Mountain doesn't forbid adventurers, we only allow them to pick some ordinary materials and spiritual items. Generally, we aren't allowed to touch things that are more than 100 years old. As for the spiritual infant fruit, it was something that only appeared once every few hundred years. In the Monkey King Mountain, it can be considered a first-rate treasure. Qin Wushuang sighed. If the spiritual infant fruit is first-rate, then the holy ivory flower should be first-rate, right? The Silver Monkey King laughed. To be more precise, the holy ivory flower has no ranking. Because this thing was born from the heavens and the earth, it was too coincidental. As for the spiritual infant fruit, our Monkey King Mountain has always had it. Initially, the most precious thing in the Monkey King Mountain was a 1,000-year treasure. However, the holy ivory flower that only appears once every 10,000 years was an accident, an absolute accident. Of course, only a gold Monkey King like Bao Bao could truly bring out the best in each other and not waste it. Bao Bao laughed mischievously. Yet, he did not flatter himself as he said, Silver Monkey King, since Big Brother Wushuang has helped us so much, we should give him the spiritual infant fruit, right? The Silver Monkey King nodded. Of course, not only should we give it to him, even if he wants something more precious, the Monkey Clan should not decline. The Monkey Clan has always made a clear distinction between gratitude and grudges. The humans say that we should repay the kindness of a drop of water with a gushing spring. The Monkey Clan also believes in this belief. Bao Bao said to Qin Wushuang with joy, Human, I didn't go back on my words, right? Qin Wushuang was overjoyed at the unexpected good news. Thank you so much. When he said here, Qin Wushuang's voice was choked with emotion. He was truly overjoyed. When he had entered the dispersed praying mountain, he had been on tenterhooks. He felt that since that spiritual infant fruit was so rare, wouldn't the hope be slim? Unexpectedly, not only did this Monkey King mountain have it, it had also fallen into the hands of Qin Wushuang. And now, it had only been less than 2 months since he had entered the dispersed praying mountain. Roughly, from the beginning to the end, it had only been half a year since he had left the Stargaze Palace. It was still far from the 3 years promised by the head palace master and his teacher. Seeing Qin Wushuang's joy, the Silver Monkey King also appreciated him as he praised. Wushuang, a young man like you is rare. You value friendship and righteousness. For the safety of others, you did not hesitate to travel to a dangerous place like the dispersed praying mountain. If all humans had such a righteous spirit like you, the situation of the humans in the Tian Xian land would not be so difficult, haha. Qin Wushuang said, "It's not others, it's my teacher. Regardless of the teacher or the disciple, they are all others." The Silver Monkey King laughed. "I have lived for more than 1,000 years and have seen too many heartless humans. I have seen too many people who bullied and schemed against each other. Today they are friends and tomorrow they will be enemies. Today they are teacher and disciple and tomorrow they will be strangers." Qin Wushuang remained silent. Since the Silver Monkey King had lived for such a long time, for sure, he had seen a lot. As the king of a clan, he would not slander humans for no reason. Connecting it to Qin Wushuang's experience in the secular world, indeed, as the Silver Monkey King had said, there were too many schemes and schemes. "Okay, Wushuang, let's go pick the spiritual infant fruit. Bao Bao, do you want to come?" Now, each time the Silver Monkey King made a decision, he would ask for Bao Bao's opinion. Bao Bao jumped up from the stone chair and shouted, "How can I be left out?" The Silver Monkey King laughed. "Wushuang, please." Under the lead of the 2 Monkey Kings, one old and one young, Qin Wushuang arrived at a cliff on the left side of the Phoenix Return Mountain. The Silver Monkey King laughed. "Bao Bao, stay here with Wushuang for a while, I will go pick the spiritual infant fruits." Bao Bao said impatiently, I will go, I must personally thank Big Brother Wushuang." As he spoke, Bao Bao twisted his body and rushed to the edge of the cliff. Like lightning, he jumped down. In a moment, with a flash of golden light, Bao Bao's body had already jumped up. Qin Wushuang did not know how it did it. When it held it with both of its hands, a crystal-clear fruit appeared as if it was carved from white jade. The shape of this fruit was like the silhouette of a baby. At first glance, a strange thought emerged in Qin Wushuang's mind. Wasn't this a ginseng fruit? He remembered that in the legends from his previous world, the ginseng fruit had this shape. Could this spiritual infant fruit be the ginseng fruit from the legends? However, the effect of this spiritual infant fruit was not as miraculous as the ginseng fruit from the legends. After eating one bite, one would become immortal and shine with the sun and moon. Bao Bao said with a smile, "Big Brother Wushuang, this spiritual infant fruit is 100% ripe. Take it." Just when Qin Wushuang was about to take it, the Silver Monkey King said, "Hold on." The Silver Monkey King walked over and took out a green jade bottle. He put that spiritual infant fruit inside. The spiritual infant fruit is an extraordinary thing. Ordinary storage tools cannot keep its spiritual qi 100% fresh. Only this green jade bottle can retain all the spiritual qi. When you take it out again, it will look like it was just picked. Qin Wushuang took it respectfully and said with gratitude, "Thank you, Silver Monkey King, for your generous gift." The Silver Monkey King gave a long sigh. "Wushuang, I should be the one thanking you. If you had not been quick-witted and asked Bao Bao to swallow that holy ivory flower, I am afraid this fierce battle would have lasted for at least a month. The loss to the Monkey Clan would be incalculable." However, Qin Wushuang did not claim the credit. That was Bao Bao's good fortune. Initially, the holy ivory flower was something he ate. I only reminded him. Haha, it's rare for you to not claim the credit. The Silver Monkey King laughed. Of course, let's be realistic. You did a lot to protect Bao Bao. After he had finished, the Silver Monkey King paused for a moment and said to Qin Wushuang, Wushuang, that barbarian tribe saw your bow and arrow. I am afraid they will find out your identity sooner or later. Thus, when you return to the human countries, you must be careful of the barbarian tribe leaving the eastern Qi mountain and taking revenge on you guys. Bao Bao said angrily, Darn those barbarian tribe. When I have mastered my skills, I will kill my way to the barbarian tribe and kill all 8 of their tribal chief. Let's see if they can still stir up trouble. Surprisingly, the Silver Monkey King did not stop him as he nodded. Bao Bao, the Monkey Clan will avenge the barbarian tribe sooner or later. When the elite warriors of the Monkey Clan finish attending the great sacrificial ceremony from the Xian Yuan Mound, the elite warriors of the Monkey King Mountain will gather and kill the barbarian tribe from the abyss. When they returned to the Stone Forest Cave, Bao Bao laughed. Boss Wushuang, this time, you have come to the Monkey King Mountain as a guest. Why don't you stay here and play for a while? After a while, when the elite warriors of the Monkey Clan return, you can leave. How about it? The Silver Monkey King also looked forward to it and urged him to stay. He had some injuries on his body and needed some time to recover, and Bao Bao had just evolved into the Gold Monkey King. For now, he was not strong enough to resist the joint attack of the 3 tribal chiefs. With an elite warrior like Qin Wushuang here, it would be good news for the Monkey King Mountain. Qin Wushuang thought. Teacher's Dantian was sealed by the head palace master and the others with the 4-division soul locking technique. Can last for about 3 years, and I have received great benefits from the Monkey Clan. And since Bao Bao and I hit it off, since he has spoken, it would be unreasonable to abandon him. Immediately, he nodded. Okay, then I will disturb you guys for a while. Hearing his promise, Bao Bao was overjoyed. Boss Wushuang, don't say anything about disturbing. I am very happy that you are staying. After he had finished speaking, he pulled Qin Wushuang's sleeve. Let's go, brother Wushuang, I will take you to walk around the Monkey King Mountain. Not allowing Qin Wushuang to speak, he dragged him away. The Silver Monkey King also felt gratified when he saw everything. The Silver Monkey King had lived for thousands of years and was good at judging people. Of course, he could see that this Qin Wushuang was not simple. Bao Bao felt that being friends with this person was beneficial and harmless. P.S. Today, I have some matters to attend to during the day. Thus, the 4th update will not exceed 21 p.m. However, it will be finished before 22 p.m. I am very sorry. To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 340. Qin Wushuang had stayed for more than a month. During this time, Qin Wushuang was also attracted by the beautiful scenery of the Monkey King Mountain. He went around to experience the spiritual qi of the Monkey King Mountain. And at the Monkey King Mountain, there were spiritual medicine and spiritual fruits at every step. During this time, Qin Wushuang had also eaten a lot of good things. Thanks to Bao Bao, he had eaten a lot of good things. Naturally, these things were greatly beneficial to the accumulation of spiritual qi and Qin Wushuang's training stage. After staying for more than a month, Qin Wushuang had gained a firm foothold in the advanced stage. However, each time when Bao Bao wanted to spar with Qin Wushuang felt depressed. Currently, Bao Bao was already at the perfect stage. Although he had not stabilized his strength, his combat power was extraordinary. If Qin Wushuang used the graceful spiritual Bao, Bao Bao could not beat Qin Wushuang. If he did not use the graceful spiritual Bao, then Qin Wushuang would be inferior to Bao Bao. After more than a month, between this human and beast, they had established a deep friendship. Qin Wushuang told Bao Bao about some interesting things about the human world. It also made Bao Bao fascinated as he asked Qin Wushuang to take him to the human countries to see the world. Qin Wushuang laughed. Bao Bao, for this matter, you can't just ask me, you must ask the Silver Monkey King to agree. Bao Bao chuckled. The Silver Monkey King will not object. Why? Qin Wushuang was extremely curious. If I want to go to the Xian Yuan Mound or other forbidden spiritual zones, for sure the Silver Monkey King will object. The reason is that my strength has not reached perfection. However, going to your human countries is the place with the least risk in the entire Tian Xian land. If I cannot go there, then I can only stay at the Monkey King Mountain. Bao Bao's words made Qin Wushuang laugh involuntarily. Okay, if you can persuade the Silver Monkey King, for sure I will not have a problem. Bao Bao jumped 3 meters high. Okay, I will go now. Then, his body shot out like an arrow from a bow. A golden light flashed, and he disappeared. That was how impatient the monkey was. When Qin Wushuang returned to the stone forest cave, the Silver Monkey King had clearly received the news from Bao Bao. When he saw Qin Wushuang return, he also wore a smile on his face as he looked at Qin Wushuang. Wushuang, Bao Bao said he plans to go with you to the human countries to gain experience. Are you not against it? Silver Monkey King, it is my honor to have the Gold Monkey King as my companion. What reason do I have to object? Qin Wushuang's answer was also very clever. The Silver Monkey King said with a smile, if that's the case, let Bao Bao follow you to the human countries to broaden his horizons. However, Wushuang, Bao Bao is the Gold Monkey King and is responsible for the fate of our monkey clan. I hope you can take good care of him. Qin Wushuang nodded solemnly. Silver Monkey King, since you have entrusted me with this task, even if I, Qin Wushuang, have my bones crushed, I will not let anything happen to Bao Bao. The Silver Monkey King laughed. For the elite warriors of the human countries, even the most elite ones could not hurt the Gold Monkey King. I am only afraid that elite warriors from the forbidden spiritual zones are roaming in the human countries. Such elite warriors are not someone Bao Bao could resist at his current stage. However, with such elite warriors, even at the Monkey King Mountain, I cannot protect Bao Bao. Bao Bao cried out, Silver Monkey King, I am smart. If I cannot beat them, I will run away. When I can beat them, I will take care of them. Ha ha. Both the Silver Monkey King and Qin Wushuang laughed. Alright, Bao Bao, you are tired of staying at the Monkey King Mountain. It's time for you to go out and explore. I will not feel at ease if you go to other places. The human countries are just right for you to gain experience at your current stage. Wushuang, Bao Bao will go with you to gain experience. He is your friend. He can help you solve your problems. Bao Bao can also help you shoulder your grudges. Don't take care of him just because he is the Gold Monkey King. Suddenly, the tone of the Silver Monkey King changed. Qin Wushuang was stunned for a moment and finally understood. Since he was going out to gain experience, he would not achieve his goal if he was too protective. Bao Bao, if the conflict between Wushuang and the Nine Palace faction requires your help, don't be stingy. Ha ha, the Nine Palace faction, the Monkey Clan can still afford to offend them. Bao Bao cried out, can't afford to offend them. As long as they make me unhappy, I will also offend them. I am the Gold Monkey King, who would I be afraid of? Surprisingly, the Silver Monkey King did not object. Instead, he encouraged him. Yes, you are the Gold Monkey King, you must grow through battles. When it comes to battles, you must bring out the courage of the Monkey Clan and show the power of the Gold Monkey King. The tone of the Silver Monkey King was serious and serious, as if he was teaching his own offspring. Bao Bao shook his 2 forearms to show his agreement. I estimate that in about 6 or 7 days, those elders of the Monkey Clan should return. You should prepare. As soon as those elders return, you will leave the dispersed praying mountain immediately. Bao Bao, at most in 10 years, you must return to the dispersed praying mountain. The grudge between the monkey clan and the Deep Abyss barbarians must not exceed 10 years. Bao Bao put away his monkey clothes and said seriously, "Okay, no need to wait for 10 years, I will return and turn the barbarian tribe upside down." To Bao Bao, Qin Wushuang welcomed him. Regardless, Bao Bao was a capable helper, and the Silver Monkey King had promised that Bao Bao could help him deal with the Nine Palace faction. It was an even more positive signal. Although Qin Wushuang knew that the Silver Monkey King would never make such a decision that would not benefit him, regardless of the perspective, with Bao Bao as the Gold Monkey King, he would have more capital to deal with the Nine Palace faction. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang also remembered young Master Zhao's words. He said that Zhuo Tianxi, the head of the Nine Palace faction, had connections in the Xian Yuan Mound. This layer of connections that he did not understand made Qin Wushuang feel somewhat worried. Qin Wushuang knew very well that it would not be easy to develop in the Tian Xian land without some capable helpers. Now, with Bao Bao by his side, if he returned to the 7 deadly formation arrays and acquired the Purple Flame Electric Beast, it would be equivalent to having 2 more elite warriors at the perfect stage. With such arrangement and such trump cards, he could definitely catch the Nine Palace faction off guard if he used them all of a sudden. For sure, the current Nine Palace faction would spend all their efforts on how to deal with Qin Wushuang's graceful spiritual bow. Most likely, they would place their other thoughts on Zhuo Buchuan, the new perfect stage. They would never know that Qin Wushuang, being at the middle stage, would hold 2 trump cards that would determine the outcome of the battle. When he thought here, Qin Wushuang was also overjoyed inwardly. He was already looking forward to giving the Nine Palace faction a huge surprise. He had collected Zhu Dezhong's head and detained young Master Zhao. These were also the huge surprises he would give the Nine Palace faction. Indeed, as the Silver Monkey King had guessed, those elite warriors of the Monkey Clan had returned to the Monkey King Mountain after 6 days. When they learned about the invasion of the barbarian tribe, these core warriors of the Monkey Clan were both shocked and furious. After they learned about the situation, they were extremely grateful to Qin Wushuang, their human friend. Naturally, these elders would not object to Bao Bao and Qin Wushuang going to the human countries to train. Instead, they supported them. In the morning, the Silver Monkey King led the team and escorted Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao to the foot of the Monkey King Mountain. The Silver Monkey King repeatedly instructed Bao Bao. After he had finished, he walked next to Qin Wushuang. With a wave of his hand, a jade box appeared. He said to Qin Wushuang, "Wushuang, this is a farewell gift from our elders after discussion. Please accept it." Bao Bao pulled it over and said with a smile, "What gift is this? Let me see if it's too stingy." As soon as he opened it, he saw 2 fruits the size of a longan. Verdant and green, they appeared extremely attractive as if they were carved from jade. They emitted a wave of light fragrance that made Qin Wushuang feel refreshed and refreshed. All the bones in his body felt a wave of pleasant and wonderful feeling. Bao Bao laughed. "TSK, this time the elders are very generous. Boss Wushuang, you are rich. This is the green ice heart fruit, a 1,000-year-old fruit. When a human consumes it, even the most ordinary one can turn from a mortal body into a spiritual body. They can directly obtain upper sky power and at least 500 years of life." Qin Wushuang drew a breath of cold air. "This? How would I dare to accept it?" The Silver Monkey King gave a long sigh. "Wushuang, since it's a gift from the Monkey Clan, just accept it. After all, without you, most likely the Monkey King Mountain would have been taken over by the barbarian tribe, not to mention these precious spiritual fruit. For this 1,000-year-old spiritual fruit, the Monkey King Mountain only has a few digits. It's apparent how precious it is. However, to give something to someone, good things must come in pairs. Thus, we can't give away one. Thus, please don't reject these two. Bao Bao encouraged him. Yes, Boss Wushuang, this time, if it weren't for you, the monkey clan would also be in great trouble. Especially the holy ivory flower, it would be a disaster if those vulgar barbarians got it. Compared to it, although these two are precious, they are not as precious as the holy ivory flower. The other monkey elders also nodded. Take it. You are the first human to receive such a gift from the monkey clan. Don't reject it. Qin Wushuang was moved as he experienced the enthusiasm of the monkey clan. Indeed, as the information had stated, the monkey clan knew how to be grateful. They were also the easiest clan to interact with in the dispersed praying mountain. Immediately, he took it. If that's the case, I will not hold back. Bao Bao laughed. If you are being polite, you are looking down on the monkey clan. All the monkey elders laughed. The Silver Monkey King said, Okay, let's say goodbye. Bao Bao, remember, don't forget the promise of 10 years. I won't forget. As he spoke, he pulled Qin Wushuang's sleeve. Boss Wushuang, let's go. I can't wait to see the colorful world of the human countries. Under the gaze of the Silver Monkey King and a group of monkey elders, Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao disappeared from the end of their vision. Along the way, Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao did not deliberately cause trouble. Bao Bao asked a lot of questions along the way as if he had a book of 100,000 whys in his mind. His questions were endless. On the other hand, Qin Wushuang was patient as he answered all of them without the slightest impatience. After walking for 10 days, they arrived at the border of the dispersed praying mountain. At the border, Qin Wushuang suggested, Bao Bao, you are the Gold Monkey King, each of your movements is important. So, when we go out, I want you to hide in my storage bag. Don't let the people of the Nine Raven Empire know your origin, so as not to bring you unnecessary trouble. Bao Bao had always heard the Silver Monkey King talk about the viciousness of humans. Instantly, he nodded. Okay, it's a deal, I will only hide for a while. You must let me out after we get out of this tunnel. Of course. Qin Wushuang opened the storage bag. Suddenly, with a flash of light, an object scuttled out. It was that spiritual mouse of Zhu Dazhong. Initially, Qin Wushuang had sealed him. After some time, the effect had ended and this spiritual mouse had regained his senses. Now, he had found an opening and scuttled out. He plunged his head into the ground. When Bao Bao saw it was a spiritual mouse, he laughed. Let's see where you can run to. Then, he also plunged into the ground. Author's note. 4th update. That's all for today. The following chapter is a short chapter from Old Bull and is not the main text. If you see the update notice, those who are going to sleep do not need to wait. Tomorrow we will continue. To be continued, if you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 341. Qin Wushuang was stunned. While he was hesitating, in a moment, Bao Bao crawled out from the ground and grabbed that spiritual mouse. He jumped back with a grin. Boss Wushuang, let me take this spiritual mouse as my pet. Qin Wushuang laughed. Okay. As soon as he finished speaking, Bao Bao was overjoyed. He patted the head of that spiritual mouse and shouted in beast language, Stinky mouse, if you dare to run away again, I will swallow you in one bite when I catch you. Apparently, that spiritual mouse was restraining its fear of Bao Bao's method. A moment ago, it had escaped at a fast speed. However, it did not expect that the speed of this little golden monkey was a few times faster than it. Without any effort, he had caught it. At the moment, it could only admit defeat and nodded with a wronged expression. Qin Wushuang laughed. Bao Bao, this spiritual mouse is very cunning, don't get tricked by it. You must be careful. Bao Bao was extremely confident. Boss Wushuang, Don't worry, I still have many methods that I have not used. I promise that I will make it obedient. Qin Wushuang laughed. That would be for the best. When they got out of the dispersed praying mountain, Qin Wushuang returned to his original appearance under the mask. Anyways, Zhu Dazhong's framing would not have any effect as he was already out of the dispersed praying mountain. Since he had stayed at the Monkey King Mountain for a month or two, when Qin Wushuang came out, it was already late autumn. Bao Bao still turned into a small and furry figure. From his appearance, he looked like an ordinary pet. One could not see through Bao Bao's special bloodline. He was the legendary golden monkey of the Monkey Clan. Boss Wushuang, where are we going now? Bao Bao stood on Qin Wushuang's shoulder and from time to time, he would make some mischievous movements. He scratched his ears and scratched his cheeks. He was extremely curious about the imperial capital of the Nine Raven Empire. Everything seemed so fresh to him. We are going to find someone and then go back. As Qin Wushuang spoke, he had already arrived at the area of the Iron Fan Gate. Xiao Bailong, the master of the Iron Fan Gate, did not expect that Qin Wushuang would return so quickly. Naturally, he was overjoyed. Although Marquis Fei didn't dare offend Xiao Bailong, Xiao Guan still felt some pressure from the Iron Fan Gate that he had entrusted to Xiao Bailong. Therefore, Xiao Bailong also hoped that Xiao Guan could quickly leave the imperial capital and go somewhere else. Sect leader Xiao, have I troubled you during this period of time? I wonder if that brat Xiao Guan has caused any trouble for you? Qin Wushuang was actually worried that Xiao Guan was too hot-headed and couldn't control himself. Xiao Bailong smiled and said, Mister, you're treating me like an outsider. Young Master Xiao is still quite capable. In the past few months, he hasn't touched a single drop of alcohol and has been wholeheartedly learning various skills. He's very hard-working. Qin Wushuang laughed heartily and said, Good. In that case, I'll have to trouble Sovereign Xiao. Please call him out, I'm leaving. Xiao Bailong ordered, Go and invite young Master Xiao here. After not seeing him for a few months, Xiao Guan was obviously much more spirited. There was no longer a trace of drunkard's drowsy look on his face. Instead, it was replaced by a bright sunshine, giving people the feeling that he was in high spirits and much brighter. Mister, you're really back. Xiao Guan was overjoyed and went forward to salute. Qin Wushuang smiled and said, I heard from sect leader Xiao that you've been very hard-working these few months. I'm very gratified. We'll take our leave now, sect leader Xiao. Xiao Guan was very polite, showing the upbringing of a disciple of a big family. Sect leader Xiao, I've troubled you during this period of time. In the future, if Xiao Guan can stand out under Mr., I'll definitely not forget the kindness of taking me in these few months. Xiao Bailong smiled and said, Young Master Xiao, there's no need to be so courteous. You're a loyal descendant. I'm very ashamed that I couldn't help the Xiao family in this state. Since Mr. entrusted me, I'll just do my best. Qin Wushuang cupped his hands and said, Sect leader Xiao, we'll meet again someday. After he had finished speaking, he took Xiao Guan and left. Qin Wushuang went to the horse market to buy 2 fine horses and rode one with Xiao Guan. After they had left the imperial capital of the Nine Raven Empire, Qin Wushuang finally spoke. Xiao Guan, since you're following me, you should know my identity. Xiao Guan bowed on the horse and said, Mister, please give me your name, I will remember it. Ha ha, my name is not bigger than your Nine Raven Empire. I'm from the East. The 3 Eastern Empires. Being an offspring of an aristocratic family, Xiao Guan was also knowledgeable. He was not an ignorant playboy. I just don't know which Eastern Empire are you from? The Great Luo Empire, Qin Wushuang, disciple of the Stargaze Palace, that's me. Qin Wushuang. Xiao Guan was shocked. Mister, are you Qin Wushuang? Qin Wushuang laughed. What? Xiao Guan revealed an overjoyed expression. Mister, I am truly fortunate to be able to serve you. Currently, in the human countries of the Tian Xian land, who doesn't know your name? You are already considered the #1 elite warrior of the young generation in the Tian Xian land. You used the power of one hand to force back an elite warrior at the perfect stage. Qin Wushuang smiled bitterly. How did this matter spread to the Nine Raven Empire? Xiao Guan gave a long sigh. It only spread in the past few months. Last time, your name had not spread. In the past few months, I heard that in every corner of the human countries your name is spreading. Unexpectedly, I am so lucky to be taken in by you. When he said here, Xiao Guan could not help but choke with sobs as the rim of his eyes turned red. Apparently, he was overjoyed from the bottom of his heart. Bao Bao sat on Qin Wushuang's shoulder and spoke to Qin Wushuang in beast language. Boss Wushuang, you are so famous in the human countries, haha. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. I would rather not have that kind of method of becoming famous. If I can keep my teacher from getting hurt, I would rather be a nobody for the rest of my life. Bao Bao said in beast language. It's all right, using the spiritual infant fruits, your teacher has profited from a disaster. Not only has his dantian healed, his potential has also increased greatly. Of course, it would not be a problem for him to reach the perfect stage. In the future, he would have a great chance to break into the void martial stage. Qin Wushuang was overjoyed when he heard these words. His emotions surged. If his teacher could gain a turning point and enter the void martial stage, it would be the best thing that could happen. From this point, although the great Luo Empire was powerful and no one could bully them in the human countries, the legacy of the Stargaze Palace would become even more stable. Xiao Guan, although I am a disciple of the Stargaze Palace, I do not plan to introduce you to the Stargaze Palace. In the secular world, I have a family. Although they are the royal family of the subordinate countries, they also hold an extraordinary position. I want you to work for my family, are you willing? Xiao Guan said with joy. As long as I work for you, even if it is to go to the slave tribe, I would be happy. A gentleman would die for his friends, and I would be willing to die for you. Not to mention working for the royal family. And with your talent, in the future, you will ride the wind for thousands of miles and rise up. For sure, your family will rise and become the royal family of the great Luo Empire. Qin Wushuang laughed. Thank you for your auspicious words. Then, he said, Xiao Guan, although you are only a pre-sky realm warrior and your training talent is not exceptional, I will have a way to let you enter the upper sky. Now, Qin Wushuang only had one initial stage pill left. He planned to give it to Xiao Guan. However, for all of this, he still needed to observe for a period of time to see Xiao Guan's talent. To see if he was truly a useful talent. Being an offspring of an aristocratic family, Xiao Guan had only trained up to stage 8 of the genuine force. Naturally, he would never enter the upper sky without any connections. Hearing Qin Wushuang's words, he felt even more grateful. Entering the upper sky, if he could enter the upper sky, then perhaps, he would have a chance to avenge his family's grudge. Then, the grudge between the Xiao clan and Prince Fei would come to an end. However, Xiao Guan knew that now that he was under the tutelage of Mr. He could not let hatred get to his head. He must first perform well and let Mr. see his hard work and his ability. Along the way, Qin Wushuang also gave Xiao Guan a lot of pointers on martial arts, which greatly benefited Xiao Guan. With the guidance of a famous teacher like Qin Wushuang, Xiao Guan's improvement was naturally very fast. Riding at full speed, they traveled for about 20 days before returning to the east. Originally, with Qin Wushuang's speed, it would not take so long. However, considering Xiao Guan's speed, he could only accommodate him. After returning to the east, they spent another 10 days before finally entering the great Luo Empire. Qin Wushuang had left in the early spring. When he returned, it was already early winter. After experiencing the 4 seasons, each blade of grass and tree of the great Luo Empire still remained clear. Qin Wushuang said to Xiao Guan, Xiao Guan, take this letter and go to the heavenly royal mansion in the Bayou country. I have already explained everything inside. Perform well, I will return to the family soon. Xiao Guan nodded and said with tears, Mister, I hope you can return to the family soon. Qin Wushuang waved his hand. Go, be careful and don't cause trouble. Xiao Guan was at stage 8 of the genuine force. If he did not cause trouble, he would not encounter any problems at the heavenly royal mansion. Bao Bao watched Xiao Guan leave and laughed. Boss Wushuang, this Xiao Guan loves to cry. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. After experiencing the disaster of his family's destruction, it's already not easy for him to do what he did. Besides, he is only 18 or 19 years old. Bao Bao rolled his eyeballs. Boss Wushuang, then how old are you? Stunned, Qin Wushuang laughed. Indeed, he did not care much about his age. When he reincarnated, he carried all the memories from his previous life. Thus, he always felt that his age in this world was fake. He rarely paid attention to his real age. Speaking of his physical age, he was only 19 years old. He would only enter 20 years old after this year. After this year, I will be 20. Bao Bao, what about you? Qin Wushuang was curious. Bao Bao said with a smile, I am only 8 years old. 8 years old? Qin Wushuang was dumbstruck. Too monstrous, an 8-year-old perfect stage. Indeed, this spiritual beast was unreasonable. Especially Bao Bao, who was the descendant of the immemorial divine monkey. He could not be measured with common sense. After walking for a day and a night, Qin Wushuang finally arrived outside the Stargaze Palace. From afar, the Stargaze Palace still looked the same. However, the atmosphere above the Stargaze Palace was still somewhat strange. Qin Wushuang knew that even after such a long time, the Stargaze Palace still could not walk out from the haze of that battle. From today onwards, the Stargaze Palace will sweep away all signs of decline and return to the right path. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang made a vow. He quickened his steps and arrived before the mountain gate in the blink of an eye. Although the mountain gate had been repaired, the traces of that battle still remained. As he walked on the stone steps, Qin Wushuang walked slowly. Each time he walked, he was replaying the details of that battle. And the fire of hatred also continued to burn. 9 Palace Faction. Sooner or later, I will settle this debt with you. Qin Wushuang arrived before the mountain gate with determined step. Who is it? A few figures scuttled out from the left and right side of the mountain gate. They stared at Qin Wushuang with eyes full of alertness. The outbreak begins today at 5 chapters. The monthly votes will continue to rise, roar roar. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 342. Stunned, Qin Wushuang could not help but laugh. He took off the mask and revealed his true face. Senior brothers, I am Qin Wushuang. Junior brother Qin Wushuang? Of course, these core disciples on duty recognized Qin Wushuang. Although they were not in the top 10 and had not interacted with Qin Wushuang, they recognized him instantly since they were from the same sect and had met many times during the year-end exam. Indeed, it's junior brother Qin. Junior brother Qin, you are back? Where have you been during these days? Qin Wushuang laughed. Senior brothers, let's talk about this later. In this year, how is the mountain gate? Did the 9 Palace come to harass us again? The 9 Palace never came. Junior brother Qin, please come in. As soon as Qin Wushuang walked through the mountain gate, he rushed towards the main palace. Although it was still far away from the 3 years, inwardly, Qin Wushuang was extremely anxious. Indeed, he could empathize with his teacher's injuries. If the monkey clan had not invited him, he would have rushed back as soon as he had acquired the spiritual infant fruit. Currently, the 4 palace masters were sitting in the main palace and discussing the grand plan. In this year, although the 9 palace had not come to seek revenge, the more calm they were and the less news they received, the more dangerous it would be. Most likely, this was the calm before the storm. Once the 9 palace made a move, it would be extremely terrifying. Although Zhuobuchuan had consolidated his perfect stage, considering the powerful strength of the 9 palace, the Stargaze Palace was still in danger. It could even be said that they were swaying in the wind and rain. Of course, being a major sect with a few thousand years of history, the Stargaze Palace still had the capital to fight in this life and death crisis. Boss, Second's injuries do not seem to be good. Tian Zhixing, the 5th palace master, was the first to speak. Zhuobuchuan nodded lightly. Don't be impatient. Although our 4-division spiritual lock technique has some flaws and will not last for 3 years, we should be able to hold on for 2 years. With Wushuang's luck, maybe he can get the spiritual infant fruits too. Tian Zhixing sighed. That young man Wushuang is indeed blessed. I only hope that he will have the fortune to get the spiritual infant fruits and come back to save Second's life. In the Stargaze Palace, if one of the 5 palace masters is missing, I would not be able to adapt. In this year, since Second is not here, we seem to be much more urgent than usual when dealing with the matters of the Stargaze Palace. With one less person, the order will be messed up. In the past, Zhong Wuyin, the 3rd palace master, did not get along well with Tan Zhongqi. Now, he also felt deeply moved. My personality has never gotten along well with Second. However, if the Stargaze Palace does not have him, I feel that it would not be easy. Boss, you said that the spiritual infant fruit only bears fruit once every few hundred years. Can Wushuang get it? This is a matter of life and death for Second brother. On the contrary, Zhuobuchuan's tone had become even calmer. Although Wushuang has great fortune for such matters, I would not dare to make a conclusion. While they were talking, a female disciple ran out from inside and said with an anxious expression, Head Palace Master, go take a look. It seems that Second Palace Master's injuries are worsening. You should go take a look. Zhuobuchuan stood up abruptly and his expression changed slightly. Go take a look. The other 3 palace masters all showed a somewhat uneasy expression as they all chased after him. Lying on the bed, Tan Zhongqi's entire face had turned as red as a piece of paper. Zhuobuchuan was shocked. Second, calm down. Still, Tan Zhongqi's mouth revealed an indifferent expression as if he had seen through everything. He said with difficulty, Everyone, I am selfish, I am afraid that I will leave first. The future of the Stargaze Palace will depend on you 4. Tian Zhixing mumbled. How could this be? How could this be? Zhong Wuyin paced around anxiously and kept pacing back and forth. Ling Qiuqi, the 4th palace master, stood next to the head palace master and asked in a low voice, Head palace master, how is it? Zhuobuchuan said with a pale expression. The 4-division soul locking technique could not lock Second's shattered dantian. His dantian started to crack and his blood gushed out. We can only save him if we have the spiritual infant fruit. Tan Zhongqi gave a light sigh. No need to be sad. When Wushuang returns, please tell him from me. As his teacher, I cannot see him bring glory to the Stargaze Palace. After I die, please scatter my ashes over the sky of the Stargaze Palace. In the unseen world, I will protect the Stargaze Palace. Zhuobuchuan sent in a wave of spiritual qi and said in a low voice, Second, don't speak. Calm down. I will use my spiritual qi to suppress your blood and qi. The 3 of you, please stand guard for me. I can suppress Second brother's blood qi for at least 7 days. After 7 days, if there are no spiritual infant fruits, it will not be too late to think of a way. Tan Zhongqi gave a long sigh. Head Palace Master, there is no need to waste your spiritual qi. Zhuobuchuan said seriously. Second, since you have taken Wushuang as your disciple, you must believe in him. Many times, he has created miracles. This time, why don't you continue to trust him? Tan Zhongqi was stunned. At this moment, that female disciple ran in from outside the door. Head Palace Master. Head Palace Master. Zhuobuchuan was somewhat annoyed when someone interrupted him. At this time, a figure rushed in quickly from behind that female disciple. Teacher, I am Qin Wushuang, and I am back to see you. Just as Qin Wushuang had walked into the main palace, he saw this female disciple who was taking care of his teacher standing there anxiously. Of course, he did not know this female disciple. Just when he was about to ask, this female disciple recognized Qin Wushuang. Aren't you senior brother Qin Wushuang? When she received Qin Wushuang's affirmative answer, this female disciple immediately explained the situation. Feeling panicked, Qin Wushuang immediately asked her to lead the way. Wushuang? All 5 palace masters were shocked. Tan Zhongqi could not help but straighten his body. He extended his trembling arm and waved at Qin Wushuang. Wushuang, is it really you? You are back? After not seeing him for a year, his teacher had become even skinnier. His entire body was like dry wood. His originally smooth face had become as rough as pomegranate skin and had no luster. Teacher. Qin Wushuang threw himself before the bed and took out that green jade bottle. He said with a choked voice, Teacher, I did not disappoint you and brought back the spiritual infant fruits. Please eat it immediately. Zhuobuchuan was overjoyed. Spiritual infant fruits? The other 3 palace masters also surrounded him. They did not expect that Qin Wushuang had made it back at this critical moment. And he had grasped the timing perfectly. They would not believe it if one said that there was no will from the heavens. Zhuobuchuan smelled it and looked at it. He was overjoyed. Second, you are saved. Tan Zhongqi's face was filled with a joyful smile. In this smile, there was gratification and pride. However, it was not the ecstasy of having escaped death. With such a disciple, he would have no regrets even if he were to die. Tian Zhixing gave a long sigh. Second, the head palace master is right. Wushuang had created many miracles. This time, you should believe in him, right? Ha ha. The other palace masters all nodded and asked, Boss, how do we use this spiritual infant fruits? Qin Wushuang immediately explained, swallow it directly. Zhuobuchuan pointed the green jade bottle at Tan Zhongqi's mouth, and activated his spiritual qi slightly to send it into his mouth. Although this spiritual infant fruit was big, it melted as soon as it entered the mouth. As soon as it entered Tan Zhongqi's mouth, it turned into waves of refreshing spiritual qi that kept pouring in. Instantly, it seemed as if tens of thousands of waves of spiritual qi had gathered around Tan Zhongqi's body and repaired all of his meridians. Then, it formed waves of qi that flowed towards his dantian. These waves of qi formed a wave of gentle spiritual qi. Like a silkworm cocoon, it wrapped around Tan Zhongqi's dantian. It not only repaired it, but also nurtured it. No wonder this spiritual infant fruit was a divine object. Truly had the effect of bringing someone back from the dead. In a moment, a miraculous change appeared on Tan Zhongqi's face. Like a giant python shedding its skin, layers of skin slowly cracked and fell off automatically. What replaced it was a new layer of skin that had the luster of a baby. This change started from his face, to his neck, to his arms, and then to his entire body. Second, how do you feel? Zhuobuchuan asked in a low voice. Great. As soon as this voice came out, everyone was stunned. It was because it was not Tan Zhongqi who had answered, but that little furry golden ape on Qin Wushuang's shoulder. Qin Wushuang scolded lightly. Bao Bao, these are my seniors, do not be rude. Bao Bao chuckled and imitated the human hand gestures. He cupped his hands and said, Bao Bao pays his respects to all seniors, ha ha. Bao Bao's human language was far less proficient than Qin Wushuang's beast language. Thus, it sounded extremely funny, and even Tan Zhongqi could not help but laugh. When they saw Tan Zhongqi laughing, the other 4 palace masters felt relieved. They knew that the miraculous effect of the spiritual infant fruit had worked. Tan Zhongqi gave a long sigh. Indeed, as he said, it feels great. Qin Wushuang was overjoyed as he held his teacher's hand tightly. Slowly, his hanging heart also calmed down. However, Bao Bao said proudly, "How could the spiritual infant fruits from the Monkey King Mountain not be good?" Qin Wushuang introduced. "Teacher, palace masters, Bao Bao is a monkey friend I made at the Monkey King Mountain of the Dispersed Praying Mountain. He is extremely interested in the human countries and came with me. This time, it's all thanks to Bao Bao that we were able to get the spiritual infant fruit." Of course, Zhuobuchuan knew that there was a monkey clan in the Dispersed Praying Mountain. He did not neglect and said sincerely, "Then I must thank you, Bao Bao." "Haha, no need to thank me. Boss Wushuang has helped the monkey clan a great deal. This spiritual infant fruits is only a return." Bao Bao's human language was rather difficult to pronounce. However, even with his babbling, one could not help but laugh when looking at him. After about 2 hours, Tan Zhongqi opened his eyes again. He slowly sat up by holding the edge of the bed and gave a long sigh. "No wonder the spiritual infant fruit is a divine object. I can no longer feel any trace of injury in my dantian. Although my dantian is still extremely weak, it has been completely restored. Give me 1 or 2 months and I should be able to recover to my original strength." The 4 palace masters all went up to congratulate him. "Second, congratulations. This time, you have truly survived a disaster. Congratulations on taking in such a good disciple." Tan Zhongqi returned each of their greetings. Bao Bao laughed. "Second palace master, you are Boss Wushuang's teacher. Let me tell you, you don't need 1 or 2 months, half a month is enough. You still haven't understood the following effects of the spiritual infant fruits. Would you believe me if I told you that you can break into the void martial stage? Void martial stage? The other 4 palace masters were stunned as they looked at Bao Bao with astonishment. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 343. Qin Wushuang took over Bao Bao's words and said to all the elders, "Teacher, 4 palace masters, this spiritual infant fruit is a mature one. Thus, it has extraordinary effects. Not only can it repair the dantian, it can also transform it and increase one's training potential." The Silver Monkey King said that after consuming this spiritual infant fruit, it would not be a problem to reach the perfect stage. There is also a great hope to enter the void martial stage. When everyone heard his words, at first they were stunned, then they were overjoyed. Zhuobuchuan laughed straightforwardly. "Second, this is your fortune. Vaguely, everything is determined by the heavens. You have turned misfortune into fortune and gained fortune from misfortune. It is the fortune of the Stargaze Palace to have acquired this fortuitous opportunity. It is also a sign of the Stargaze Palace's prosperity." "Great, haha, great." Zhuobuchuan was open-minded and did not show a trace of jealousy. On the contrary, he was overjoyed. The more elite warriors the Stargaze Palace had, the brighter the future of the Stargaze Palace. This was an indisputable fact. Tian Zhixing sighed. "Second, congratulations again. Haha, void martial stage. If an elite warrior of the void martial stage appears in the Stargaze Palace, then in the human countries, who would dare to bully us?" Zhong Muin and Ling Qiuqi also nodded. Earlier, they were not convinced by Tan Zhongqi. However, after the battle with Zhao Heng, they finally realized why Tan Zhongqi was ranked above them. And as the second palace master of the Stargaze Palace, Tan Zhongqi had many advantages that they did not have. Thus, currently, he was not jealous of Tan Zhongqi, but only joyful. This joy came from looking at the problem from the perspective of the entire Stargaze Palace. Thus, his stage and height were completely different than before. Zhuobuchuan was the first one to calm down. After feeling happy for Tan Zhongqi for a moment, he expanded his thoughts and started to consider all the problems. After a moment of silence, he said, "Everyone, for now, let's keep the news of Second's recovery a secret. Don't let the disciples know. Currently, besides a few core disciples who know that Wu Shuang went to get the spiritual infant fruits, most of the disciples do not know. To prevent too many people from spreading the news, let's keep this news a secret. Or else, when the news of the spiritual infant fruits reaches the Nine Palace, most likely they will change their plans. They will speed up their invasion of the Stargaze Palace." Zhuobuchuan's words instantly, the other palace masters' expression became solemn. These palace masters were all extraordinary figures. Naturally, they could analyze the meaning behind the head palace master's word. Since the Stargaze Palace knew the effects of the spiritual infant fruits, the Nine Palace would also know. If the Nine Palace faction knew that Tan Zhongqi had consumed the spiritual infant fruits and had the possibility of advancing to the Void Martial stage, they would make the first move. Or else, with the way the human countries handled the relationship between the Stargaze Palace and the Nine Palace, Tan Zhongqi would surely seek revenge. Instead of waiting for Tan Zhongqi to enter the Void Martial stage, it would be better to make a move first. Fortunately, besides the 5 palace masters, only those 10 core disciples knew about Qin Wushuang's movements, and those 10 core disciples were his most trusted subordinate. Naturally, they did not need to worry about the news leaking out. Boss is right. We have to keep this a secret. Even if Second could not enter the Void Martial stage, he could enter the perfect stage. Together with Boss and Wushuang's divine bow, they could deal with the Nine Palace. If the Dragon and Tiger sect can join hands with the Stargaze Palace to deal with the Nine Palace, we will no longer be in a passive situation. From Zhong Wuin's tone, there was a wave of rich hatred. On that day, he had also participated in the battle before the mountain gate and felt a deep sense of shame. Qin Wushuang said, "Now, the most important thing is for teacher to recover his power. Then, we will aim for the perfect stage. Let's take it one step at a time. The Nine Palace faction is not completely unrestrained." "Why do you say so?" Qin Wushuang said seriously. Zhao Heng of the Nine Palace faction also had his Dantian injured. He had sent Zhu Dazhong and his grandson to the dispersed praying mountain to get the spiritual infant fruit. Only, I did not disgrace my mission and shot Zhu Dazhong to death with the graceful spiritual bow. I helped my teacher vent some of his anger, and that young Master Zhao was captured alive by me. After he finished speaking, he grabbed young Master Zhao from his storage bag. Then, he lifted Zhu Dazhong's severed head out of the bag. The 5 palace masters fixed their eyes and saw that it was Zhu Dazhong's head. His eyes were still wide open, as if he had died with remaining grievances. Zhong Wuin was the first one to laugh. Good job. Zhu Dazhong, your archaic mysteries sect had led the wolf into the house. How come you are dying even faster? Ha. Tan Zhongqi seemed to have gotten used to Qin Wushuang's miracles as he gave a long sigh. Wushuang, you are growing at a fast speed. Now you are already a pillar of support like us 5 palace masters. You must not be complacent, you must work harder. Qin Wushuang said respectfully, I will remember your teachings. Zhuobuchuan showed some joy on his face. Zhao Heng's Dantian is injured and he needs the spiritual infant fruits. This is good news. This way, the 3 perfect stage warriors of the 9 palace faction are only left with 2.5. The Stargaze Palace will have a much greater chance. Bao Bao only smiled when he heard their lively discussion. However, since Qin Wushuang did not speak, he could not interrupt. Since Qin Wushuang was not in a rush to speak, he had his own plans. He knew that it would not matter if he exposed his strength. However, he could not expose the secret of the 7 deadly arrays formation. And for his 2 trump cards, one was Bao Bao, and the other was the purple flame electric beast. Thus, for the time being, he did not plan to expose them. When the purple flame electric beast was born, he would train him well and surprise the seniors at the Stargaze Palace. Qin Wushuang did not like to show off. Now, before the purple flame electric beast was born, he would not boast about the future that had yet to become reality. It was not his style to do things. Zhuo Buchuan asked. Second, are you going to continue to rest here, or return to the Green Cloud Palace? Tan Zhongqi said in a low voice. Since we need to hide the news, let's stay here. If we return to the Green Cloud Palace, it would cause a lot of speculation and unnecessary panic. It makes sense. The other palace masters all nodded. Qin Wushuang said, I will serve you here. Tan Zhongqi shook his head and said, Wushuang, you are the pillar of the Stargaze Palace, how could you waste your time here? It's still that old saying, you can do whatever you want. I will not restrict your freedom. Zhuo Buchuan also comforted him. Wushuang, now that your teacher's Dantian has recovered, he only needs some time to recover. If you want, you can protect him for a month. After a month, you will continue to train, how about it? A month was most likely the time for Tan Zhongqi to recover. Since Zhuo Buchuan had spoken, the others did not object. Third brother, another year's winter has arrived. You will be in charge of this year's end-of-the-year exam. I must go to the Dragon and Tiger sect to hear Shi Chenglong's opinion. Zhong Muin, the third palace master, said seriously. Boss, you are going to the Dragon and Tiger sect at this time? Before, I was taking care of second and did not have time to go. For this matter, it's better to communicate with the Dragon and Tiger sect as soon as possible. We cannot be passive and slack off, we must take the initiative. Tan Zhongqi also agreed. Third, let the head palace master go. To deal with the 9 palace faction, the Stargaze Palace cannot do anything alone. To protect our position in the east, we must work together with the Dragon and Tiger sect. Zhuo Buchuan said. Fourth, fifth, you two will be in charge of other matters in the Stargaze Palace. Each of you will take turns to protect second, how about it? Okay. The other palace masters all nodded in agreement. For this trip, I will return before the new year in 1 month, or 3 months at the latest. Zhuo Buchuan said. Each palace master had their own duties and had clearly defined their own tasks. The appearance of the spiritual infant fruits and Tan Zhongqi's recovery had swept away the haze of recent years. It allowed them to see the vigorous vitality, the future of the Stargaze Palace, and the capital to fight against the 9 palace faction. After everyone had left, Tan Zhongqi held Qin Wushuang's hand lightly and patted it slowly. His tone was filled with gratitude. Wushuang, the most successful thing in my life, was not becoming the second palace master of the Stargaze Palace, but taking you in as my disciple. Before the other palace masters, I cannot say some things. However, since only you and I are here, I will say this arrogantly. In the future, the Stargaze Palace will prosper in your hands, Qin Wushuang. You will walk to an unprecedented height. Teacher, I am afraid. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. Wushuang, a real man will not pass on his responsibility, don't be afraid. I am giving you the praise you deserve. Even that child Wei, you would have to look up to you from now on. The head palace master already told me about your graceful spiritual bow. You should treasure it. Divine weapons are like double-edged swords. If you use it well, it is a divine weapon. If you don't use it well, it will bring disaster to you. Qin Wushuang nodded. I will remember your words. For sure, I will treasure the graceful spiritual bow with my life. Tan Zhongqi nodded lightly. Wushuang, today, I feel like I am in a dream. At that time, My injuries had worsened and I already had the will to die. Inwardly, I felt somewhat regretful. When I was about to die, none of my disciples were by my side. Unexpectedly, Wu Shuang, you have created a miracle for me. Teacher, this is your fortune. Or else, how could I have returned with the spiritual infant fruits within a year? Qin Wushuang recounted his experience from the Stargaze Palace to the Monkey King Mountain in full detail. Besides the secret of Bao Bao, the golden-haired monkey, he did not hide anything. With a somewhat solemn expression, Tan Zhongqi said thoughtfully, Wu Shuang, that Miss Mu Rong you mentioned is somewhat strange. Teacher, I also feel strange. That Miss Mu Rong has an extraordinary temperament. I feel that she most likely came from the forbidden spiritual zone. Tan Zhongqi said seriously. It must be so, I just don't know where she came from. Then, suddenly, he laughed. Wu Shuang, in the end, that Miss Mu Rong did not mean you any harm. She must have a good impression of you, or else she would not have invited you to drink alone. Suddenly, Bao Bao said, Miss Mu Rong? Mu Rong? What? Bao Bao, what do you know? Qin Wushuang asked curiously. Bao Bao wrinkled his nose and curled his furry body into a ball. He pretended to be deep in thought. I heard the Silver Monkey King talk about some major powerhouses in the Xian Yuan Mound. It seems that there is a major powerhouse of the human clan with the surname Mu Rong. There is still 2 more chapters to go before the 7 deadly arrays formation. Haha, purple flame electric beast. Can he get out tonight? Let's wait and see. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.